guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
It is still Tuesday. Oh, I forgot to do... Oh, whatever. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday. Still, November 5th, 2024. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting really live. Steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America. Tonight on the program, ladies and gentlemen, the other fake Melania. No. Really getting into that.
Emma's idea?
That was not my idea. What's up, guys?
Emma did not want to do that.
I still don't get what the joke is.
Apparently,
It was for Sam.
yeah. Apparently, a rumored fake Melania voted on her behalf in Florida. I don't know if it's true, but who gives a shit?
We're having fun.
We're having fun. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Leck. Bradley Alsop. We've got some other guests for you tonight. Some who you're going to be super psyched. Some that might be, frankly, a little controversial. I will just say, Tim Pool will not be here tonight. He is plunging his toilet. Again, apologies all around. If you haven't seen that story,
Now
you can Google it later. So just to let you know what we anticipate tonight. It's going to be a total shit show. And think of this as a watch party. It's going to start off as a show and then just degrade as the evening goes on. But hopefully we'll end on a positive note. We're going to have in the background one of the major networks, playing in the background, not with audio. Sometimes we'll dip in, sometimes we'll dip out. We will give you updates as to what's going on. All right, folks, good night. This could go in a lot of wrong ways.
Come on, Georgia, don't mess up the whole night.
Emma, let's start. Why don't you tell us what we can anticipate? Where are we right now in terms of the polls, closing, and whatnot?
So anybody that's been watching the show, I think, knows that I'm a little bit skeptical about the claims that this is the closest race in the history of the country.
I think everybody thought you were going to say completely addicted to predicting markets.
Well, that's part of it. This definitely activates that part of my brain. But I do think that these major national pollsters are really hedging their bets. Like, we've observed this dynamic many times with Republicans and the way that they kind of bully the media, who they may have more liberal inclinations, right? So they get self-conscious about that very fact. So they'll both sides things when they don't need to both sides things. And I think right now, after all of the claims of fraud, the baseless garbage from Trump, these pollsters are afraid to come out and maybe make some of these proclamations. They're baking in a core Republican support shy Trump vote that I just don't think exists anymore. I think we're looking at more of a shy Harris vote, independent or Republican women that are afraid to maybe tell their husbands, that's why that ad hit so close to home, that they're going to the polls and voting for Harris. And some of these pollsters aren't picking up on it. So I've predicted a 7-state, swing state sweep for Harris. Holy shit, I hope I'm right. And let's have some fun.
All right. So what I meant to ask is when the actual polls close.
Sure. So in 2 minutes, North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia will close. We already have a lot of states. At 7 p.m., Georgia closed, so we're seeing some of those results come up right there. Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia. Virginia, when Biden was still in the race, Virginia, which is a solid blue state, or should be in the year 2024, was actually in play. Thankfully, that motherfucker dropped out of the race, and Kamala Harris is going to win that one handily. So Georgia's the one that we have to worry about at this moment.
And Bradley, if you could admit me into the thing. Apparently, Donald Trump has already won Kentucky.
Okay.
We report, you decide.
I think that's taken.
Kamala Harris has won Vermont. And I think Trump is about to, he's also the projected winner of Indiana. My people are, yes. I mean, no surprise. The big thing, I think, the big shocker, of course, will be Iowa, if that actually happens, and we'll find out. In the meantime, we're watching some congressional races to get a sense of where things might be going relative to 2020 and 2022. But, we're in a tough situation. 2020 was an odd year because, as some of you may know, there was
the George Floyd effect?
The George Floyd effect. And also the once-in-a-lifetime pandemic.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
2022 is an off-year election. Democrats came out in big numbers. We will see. But we're going to be watching, some of the, we had Dave Weigel on yesterday, and he gave us some heads up on congressional districts. We're going to be talking about, which ones to be watching through the night, and we're going to bring it up. We have a rotating cast of folks who are going to be coming up. I'll give you a little hint as to who you might be expecting on this stage. Matt Binder, affectionately known as Old Matt. Francesca Fiorentini will be joining us. We're going to hear from Digby, and like I say, some surprise guests, some of whom, again, you guys are going to be super psyched. One or two, maybe a little controversial. We'll hold off on that for the time being. Also, you will notice right in front of us there is we forgot to set that thing up too. We'll do that. This will maybe keep track of the Electoral College. As of now, it's not. But this whiteboard in front here, and if you can't see it, feel free, take your time. One point over the course of the evening, a lot of people, if you want to get up and stretch at any point, do not hesitate. It's going to be a long night, maybe 2 weeks. We will have to leave closer to midnight, but don't hesitate to get up, stretch your legs, head out in the front. If you have to go to the bathroom, feel free. But this right here has an email address. Now, it's a secret email address, so I'm not going to say it out there because we are broadcasting live to the rest of the country, care of
Sunset Lake, Seba Day.
Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba Day. Sunset Lake, Seba
Our favorite sponsor.
They are one of our sponsors tonight. I will mention that in a moment. But as I explain this, there's an email address right there. And what you can do, because we want to take calls, but from you folks. So, yes, thank you. That was the appropriate response. So, if you're over in this section, you are the C section. Doesn't mean anything.
Communism.
If you're over in this section, you're the A section. Antifa?
Yeah.
And if you're in the B section, here in the middle,
Bernie
you're just
Bros.
in the B section.
Bernie Bros.
But what you do is you email us, say your name, your first name, and what color your shirt is, and then we will call you, pick you out of the queue to ask a question. We'll do this over the course of the night. Feel free to email in there. There is a free Wi-Fi entitled something free, I don't know, Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But let me just tell you a little bit about who's sponsoring us tonight. You're going to hear from about them multiple times. Sponsoring the live coverage, the live video feed of tonight's show, Sunset Lake Zebedee.com. I don't know if folks understand why we say Zebedee. It's because some of our publishers have an issue with saying a series of letters in the alphabet in the way that they're meant to be. And so I say Zebedee, and they're...
And sometimes a little tercé.
Exactly. But Sunset Lake, use the coupon code Left is Best. You will get 20% off. For every order placed tonight with the Left is Best code, Sunset Lake is going to donate $5 to UNRWA. That's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine. That is, tonight, all of your purchases will contribute to a donation. The donations will be split between Gaza and Lebanon's emergency appeal funds. And I should say, separately, we're going to be donating also to some Gaza relief funds. And at one point, we're going to put up the bakery from the family that we had introduced you to. We've been making food for other Gazans. But we'll do that a little bit later. But here's how it works. If you visit sunsetlakesebedee.com tonight, place an order with Left is Best code. You'll save 20% on your entire order. Sunset Lake will donate $5 from each sale to UNRWA. It doesn't matter what you get, sleep gummies, fudge, tinctures, smokables, whatever it is, even one of their stylish hats. $5 from every order will go to families in need. I got to get up early tomorrow morning. The way I go to sleep now is either the tincture, the Good Night oil, or the Good Night gummies, which are new without melatonin. You can get ones with melatonin. It's been a really great product. I forgot to put my salve on. I have eczema. We don't need to talk about it. Sunset Lake Zebedee is a majority employee-owned hemp farm. Pays a minimum wage of $20 an hour. They carry a full lineup of products that help you sleep, relax, and better manage pain. Again, tonight only, head over to sunsetlakesebedee.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST, all one word, save 20% off, and raise money for Palestinian and Lebanese families in need. And also, sponsoring the show tonight, and you can get their coffee here at the Bell House.
Right.
When you order it, you will be getting the Majority Report blend. Just Coffee has supported this program since day one. In fact, even when this program was not even a back when we were Break Room Live with Mark Maron, This coffee company, justcoffee.coop, supported us. They're a co-op in Madison. You hear about businesses having values. Most of those values suck. For justcoffee.coop, you are supporting a company that is a co-op. It supports democracy in the workplace. It also supports its growers in a way that no other coffee roaster does. If their farms are in trouble, they help them out. Just Coffee is a B Corp, and the ingredients, just one ingredient, that is organic coffee. They have single origin. They have something like the Majority Report blend. And you can check out their coffee tracker. Customers can plug in the 5-digit code on the bottom of the bag. This one is 42125. And you can see exactly who and where their coffee was grown, how much it was purchased for. Check them out. Great company. I've said this before a bunch of times, but I just remember when these guys came out, gave free coffee to marchers in Madison, Wisconsin. I'll never forget. It was freezing cold, and they're just handing out coffee to people who are marching against Scott Walker. Just a great B Corp. Check them out. All right, I guess an update with what we got.
Yeah.
Should we tune in and see what we got from Kornacki right now, or?
Let's do so.
Let's do that.
There's not a ton of results right now. As we mentioned, Kamala's won Vermont as expected. Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia have all been called for Trump. Jim Justice is also going to, unsurprisingly, end up being the senator that replaces Joe Manchin. So that's part of why the Democrats' chances in this cycle for the Senate are a little bit more difficult. But as you all know, pay attention to Montana, pay attention to Dan Osborne in Nebraska, an actual independent, not a corporate hack like Joe Manchin. So that's the kind of stuff that we're paying attention to right now.
As of now, with Manchin losing, or I should say Jim Justice winning, Manchin exiting, the Senate is effectively
Republican now.
Republican.
Yeah.
Possible pickups, like Emma says, in Nebraska, all red in Texas, Florida, you can say her name. Doesn't look so great right now. Don't know that there's really any other potential pickups, but we got to watch Sherrod Brown.
Yep.
Where is the most likely after tester to maybe get knocked off? There's some questions in Pennsylvania, but I think that's unlikely. Is there anywhere else I think that people really have to be concerned
Tammy
about?
Baldwin in Wisconsin is considered vulnerable, but I think she'll pull it off. I mean, you just mentioned Scott Walker. Like, the state of Wisconsin has been able to have a massive turnaround, I think, especially as their state Supreme Court is more democratic now. So I think Tammy Baldwin will be fine. And I'm not worried about Sherrod Brown. It's like Sherrod Brown is Teflon. He just seems to be okay and survives every election cycle, no matter how favorable to Republicans. And a reminder, the conditions in this race are not favorable to Republicans. That's what's been driving, and what was driving our coverage about trying to force Biden to drop out. It was any generic Democrat polled around 4 points ahead of Donald Trump. And you know what PBS Marist released yesterday? Kamala Harris 4 points ahead of Donald Trump. So it's still on track. We're just waiting for the results to roll in.
All right, let's see what's happening. Kornacki seems to be having some type of meltdown, but maybe it's just an audio thing.
Yeah, he's just doing homework right now.
What's that? Can we put the audio up, or?
It's up.
Oh, there we go. So they're just playing music and watching Kornacki freak out?
This is for all the thirsty MSNBC moms who want to see Kornacki in his element. I'm not one of them, but apparently there are a lot of them out there.
I want to see Steve Kornacki with bad posture.
This cannot be the actual broadcast on MSNBC, is it?
Oh, this might just be the Kornacki cam.
Yes.
That's the Kornacki cam. Can we get the broadcast?
I hear a lot of ladies cheering on the Kornacki cam.
Are there really fucking people watching this? I mean, except for this entire room
Yeah.
that we have basically held prison to watch it?
You don't
Can we get
understand,
the
Sam.
MSNBC stream? All right.
We're gonna go to different.
All right, let's go to CNN and see if we can see, I don't know, somebody else's cam on CNN. Get the Van Jones cam. He's sitting there.
Please, God, no.
They're not programming yet. I don't know why they're just showing the results.
All right, you want to go through, because this is garbage, whatever
What
this
is going on here with our... That's right. I guess that's what it. Oh,
early votes at once, that the city of Milwaukee had to restart the processing or counting of those absentee ballots. They say an observer saw that while the ballot tabulators were sealed, the door wasn't properly closed on them. And after going through with the bipartisan team and making sure that nothing was tampered with, the city, out of an abundance of caution, decided to restart counting all of those absentee ballots. What this means is that as we expect results from this battleground state of Wisconsin, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. The clerk said in the past that they weren't expecting results from this city to come until after midnight Central Time. We now believe that timeline has shifted 2 to 3 hours later into the night. There's more than 100,000 ballots that those clerks are going to have to work through. So the vote is still ongoing right now, but be prepared to wait as those results come in later tonight, guys.
So
All right,
obviously,
Shaq Brewster in Milwaukee. We're used to waiting for Milwaukee until the wee hours of the night. Want to go
we're
back?
going to see some of these shenanigans, particularly in urban areas in these swing states. Milwaukee County is the most populous county in the state in Wisconsin. 27% Black, 17% Latino, has an Asian American population. If the Democrats want to win the state of Wisconsin, they have to drive numbers in Milwaukee. And what do you know? Some independent observer has decided that it's time to recount the ballots because there may be some issue. This is what we're going to see with Trump. And who knows? Who knows if this was someone acting in earnest? We'll see. But this is the kind of thing that why Sam says, like, this could take 2 weeks. That's the reason.
One of the things that, is dangerous a little bit about this is, if you'll recall, in 2000, some of you may be too young to recall this on some level, but in 2000, when the Supreme Court intervened in the Bush v. Gore race, one of the reason why the Supreme Court told Florida to stop counting ballots was that it would prejudice my words, prejudiced view that George W. Bush had won Florida. So the foregone conclusion that Bush won Florida, which incidentally it was called by his cousin who worked at Fox News at the time. Was it his brother-in-law? Yes. I always say cousin. Are you sure it was his brother-in-law? Okay.
But we know what
Nevertheless,
was Jeb Bush was.
Well, Jeb Bush was his brother.
Yeah.
And he was co-chair, but it was a guy named Ellis. Still content it was his cousin, but there's some dispute about that. Nevertheless, the idea that there's a presumptive winner is absurd because there's no such thing as a presumptive winner of a state. You can have a presumptive nominee of a party because there's only so many votes available that are left, and they've achieved enough primary votes that they would win. But there's no such thing as a presumptive winner of the presidency until all the votes are counted. The idea that you have something like what they call a red mirage is that often you'll have non-urban areas report earlier. There's less votes to count. It's less complications. It appears that Trump in this instance would be ahead. They start saying, like, how all of a sudden did all these ballots show up? Well, it takes time to count them. I mean, we don't know how many, what the vote is until you count them. Milwaukee showing up late helps them create a narrative that there's something going on here. There's some type of chicanery. And you may not be aware of this, but the Supreme Court right now sucks. And the idea that ultimately, as Emma said, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court is technically nonpartisan, but there's a liberal majority there. But the idea that something could wind its way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court in a narrow circumstance could in some way affect the outcome of the election. So situations where vote tallies coming from blue districts, and we know Milwaukee is one of the bluest parts of Wisconsin, is a little scary.
Well, there was a version of this even in COVID, right? With like what was called the red mirage, because a lot of Democrats actually in that instance voted by mail. And in many of the swing states, it was forbidden for them to count them prior to that. So all of the votes that were tabulated on Election Day made it look like, oh, wow, Republicans are running away with this. And then the blue votes come in, and what do you know? Biden ended up winning that race. But it didn't stop Donald Trump from saying, oh, of course it's rigged. Where did all these votes come from? And in 2000, as you mentioned, I mean, these are the same freaks that are a part of the Trump orbit. Roger Stone, the ultimate rat fucker, was a big part of that effort to to basically make sure that Bush won, including starting what was called the Brooks Brothers riot, which was a bunch of Republican staffers, and they were dressed in Brooks Brothers, that's why they called it that, who were posing as concerned constituents.
Well, we don't know if they were all in Brooks Brothers.
Some of them may have been in Vineyard Vines.
Various clothiers of that ilk.
But, you know, that was a big reason why in Florida they were pressured to essentially stop the recount. And it was like, oh, for the health of the country, let's all come around George W. Bush and not Al Gore. And we know now, I think now with the understanding of how Trump has operated in this space, what those politics really mean. It's when you get someone who's a little bit more brute, who's communicating that kind of stuff. And you know who Roger Stone was a big fan of and who he helped get elected in 2016? Donald Trump. It's the same Republican Party. It's just a guy that fit the suit, as Sam has said millions of times. They created the conditions for Donald Trump, and now, tonight, I am praying that they get kicked in the fucking teeth. That's what I want. I'm manifesting that.
Yeah. And just a reminder, you know, people tend to forget this. I don't think we knew the final results from California for months. And there's a lot of votes in California. And it's not inconceivable that Trump has gained some strength in California, gained some strength in New York, not enough to win, but enough that theoretically, Harris could win the Electoral College, Trump could win the popular vote, or at least seemingly so, by Thursday or Friday. It would be funny, that's true. But the way that Trump and the Republicans...
Oh.
That's fantastic. Apparently, they showed up at his apartment, and it was empty.
How's he driving that car?
He had moved everything into storage. I want to know if those...
I thought it was Trump that died, the way you guys reacted.
Sadly, Ken Langone's still alive.
Right.
Oh, there you go. I was wondering what was going on there.
A bit distracted.
So in 7 minutes, we're going to have another round of polls closing, if anyone's curious about this. The states, Pennsylvania is going to close at 8, which is the big one. That's the big state. But other ones that are important are Florida, because obviously there's an important Senate race there. Montana, the maybe key Senate race in the country at this point. But most of the East Coast states will close at 8 p.m. And we may have a better idea of how things are shaking out by then.
I think in a moment, in a couple of minutes, we're going to have somebody come and really set the table for us in terms of what expectations can be. I'm not going to say who it is, although I'm starting to hear people take some guesses. We shall find it. All right. Maybe John. All right, let's put up something behind me so that people can get entertained. Let's put the Kornacki cam back up there.
Well, Kornacki cam to get value-tained. How about that?
Sure. Okay. Hold on, let me do that. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Mark Robinson lost in North Carolina.
The black Nazi.
Steve Kornacki still just sitting there.
Punching over his numbers.
I wonder where they got the idea to shoot the side of someone's face.
What they call that, the Dutch angle?
Is he saying anything? Let's just turn on the volume and see what's going on. Just music? Yeah. Let's hear it. Come on. Put it up. Let's see if we hear him. Kornacki's sending us all of our info right now. That's what.
He's so busy.
I think maybe it is time.
It is. I mean, especially with that first domino to fall, because if Mark Robinson is losing this early, this means good things for Kamala Harris.
Oh, maybe we should, again, remind people before we bring out our next guest, who people have come to rely on for data analysis for elections for quite some time. Emma, why don't you remind folks what you're anticipating happening tonight? We will ask all our guests this question, but Emma's, why don't you tell us?
Well, so I think I said this if you guys listen to the show today and follow me on Twitter, where I'm
It's hard to know. How many people listen to the show today? Don't say it. Very few. Good. Go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, I think I mentioned this at the start. I've been bullish on this notion that these national pollsters, I said this to start, but really, they are overestimating this shy Trump vote. Like, have you guys met a Trump supporter in 2024? They're not shy. They want to tell you. They put 1 million signs out on their lawn. They're, this is a party that is only appealing to its base. And we saw that in the final weeks of the race. We saw that with the Madison Square Garden basically ode to the Nazi rally from 85 years ago. I mean, they were deliberately invoking that and saying everything that they could about Palestinians, about Jews, about, of course, Puerto Ricans, infamously. This is not
Latinos.
Latinos, right?
Black people apparently like watermelon,
Yeah.
I've been told.
I mean, truly, just like rank racism. And this is not the kind of campaign that you're going to run if you actually are trying to appeal to moderate voters, but they're so high on their own supply. This is a very online campaign where they essentially think that we don't need anybody else. We just need men, we need white guys, and we'll drive out the base. I don't think that that's what's going to win this election. I think that there are a lot of women that are pissed off. And this is the first election since a fundamental right for half of the population has been stripped away. And there are older women, and that's what I think that Iowa poll reflected, older white women that worry about their granddaughters and their daughters even. And they say, hey, I've experienced this right my entire life, and it's getting taken away from them. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris even if I voted Republican my entire life, even if I'm a registered independent. And that's what Jan Selzer picked up with in Iowa, and that's what I think is going to be the story of this race. So we still there's still a long way to go, but you know, in those blue wall states, in Michigan and Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania, there's going to be a good amount of Republican women or independent women that I think vote in secret to make sure that Kamala Harris ends up being the president, next president of the United States.
And you think she wins all 7?
I have said that. I mean, I feel like I'm sweating my ass off if I say that, you know, in front of all these people, but because I want it to happen, obviously, but it's also what I truly think will happen. I think
Trump
that
is taking
it's
the lead.
statistically impossible for all of these races to be as close as the national aggregators are putting it together. I mean, even I think Nate Silver said that all of these polls having it as the closest race in history makes really little sense unless they're hurting, which means they're heavily weighting their results against what these other pollsters are doing. So they're all afraid to call the race for what it is. And I think that's going to be the story of this election. We'll see. We all lived through 2016, but there was a real difference in 2016. The enthusiasm was on the Republican side. Hillary had deeply awful unfavorables, and Harris polls as the change candidate. There are 4 people on these tickets, right? There's Harris, there's Walz, there's Trump, and there's Vance. Both Harris and Walz are the 2 candidates that poll above in plus with favorability in the country. Vance and Trump are net negatives. Anybody that's analyzing this race honestly and not like afraid of Trump voters would favor Harris and Walz in this race.
The only caveat I would add is the peanut effect.
Oh, yeah.
How many folks here are aware of the massive controversy around the squirrel Peanut? We will have a report tonight on the implications of the story of Peanut. CNN's about to make a projection right now. Trump has already won Florida.
Donald Trump, CNN projects, will win the state of Tennessee, as expected, with its 11 electoral votes. Missouri will go to Donald Trump. Missouri, as expected, will give Donald Trump 10 electoral votes. Here are 2 more projections for Trump. Alabama, CNN can project, will go to Donald Trump with its 9 electoral votes. And Oklahoma, CNN projects, will go to Donald Trump with its 7 electoral votes. We have some projections for Kamala Harris as well. CNN projects that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with its 11 electoral votes, as expected, will go to Kamala Harris. CNN can project that Maryland, as expected, with its 10 electoral votes, will go to Kamala Harris. And CNN can project that the District of Columbia, with its 3 electoral votes, can go
DC
to
elites.
Kamala Harris. Here are the states where the polls just closed, where we are not prepared to make a projection. They include Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maine,
I will
Mississippi.
Tell you, Florida, you'll recall, in 2016, I think was the state where we all basically nearly vomited in our mouths as that came up. It's a different Florida. The expectation was that Trump was going to win. But maybe our next guest can tell us if it is a surprise that Trump won this early. Oh, I forgot to bring out RM. Well, we'll do that in a moment.
You're
Thanks
about
for
to be
reminding.
valuetained.
Let's do this now. Ladies and gentlemen, John from San Antonio.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, John.
Thank you very much for having me. Came all the way from San Antonio. That's quite a flight. Yeah.
So, John, let's
Did not take a direct flight.
All right. Well,
Those two stopovers. But I came here on Sunday, and I've had a very nice time here in New York so far.
Okay. So, John.
Seen some jazz. Saw John Zorn the other night. That was a big thrill.
All right. Well, John,
if
I could just
I'll
ask
get
you a
wait
question.
before you. Yeah.
John,
Yes.
if I could just ask you a question. Florida, surprised that it's called this early?
I wouldn't I've just been having such a good time in New York over the past 3 days that I haven't really kind of lost touch a little bit with what's going on with the election. So I guess it's a little bit of a change for me. Once I got here and walked around the city and just seeing the vibrancy of it all.
All right, John.
I kind of, like I said, I was not necessarily.
Let me.
Oh my God! And I totally forgot
No, I
to
got
tell you all that I played
John.
pickleball for the
John?
first time.
If I could just ask you.
Brooklyn Park, it's
John.
totally free, and
John. Let's just talk
not
about
the most athletic person in the world, I can tell you that
Nebraska
right now.
10.
But
John
I was
Bacon.
not. What's that?
Don Bacon.
I was just
Nebraska's
saying I
10.
was not bad at all, and you can go there, and there are players
John?
just waiting to play pickleball.
And
It's a pickup game,
just
and it's a fun game, and yeah.
John?
I
Don
mean,
Bacon. Nebraska 10.
yeah. Say again?
Oh!
Well, wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real John from San Antonio. Hey, yeah. Fake John from San Antonio, otherwise known as John Benjamin, ladies and gentlemen. Go. Get away. Go. We got the real deal here, ladies and gentlemen. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is John from San Antonio.
So, John, I want to get to, we left a cliffhanger today on the show. I asked you your predictions for the presidency and the House and the Senate. But first, let me ask you about Florida. Are you surprised that they called it this early or no?
A little bit surprised, yeah, sure. Yeah, a little bit.
Just speak into, just put the mic down just a little bit right there.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing. I mean, was expecting about a 6 to 7 point win. So yeah, a little bit.
Should we be concerned at this point? Or is Florida, are red states, and there's no accounting for that?
Well, I think we're going to see red mirages in, we're already seeing them in North Carolina and in Georgia because, that's the way it is. Rural voters don't have to wait in line. Urban voters work, and when they vote, they wait in long lines, and so you get their results in last. And so actually in the next few hours, we're probably going to see some pretty good results for Trump and for Republicans.
Oh.
Sorry to say that.
Rick Scott won.
Yeah.
All right. Not surprising, the Florida Democratic Party, and you can speak to this, John, has essentially abandoned ship, and they've allowed the Republicans to just completely take over that extremely populous state.
Yeah, but the totals were a lot higher than the polling, though. So, I mean, that is a bit worrying, but, it's one state. We'll see.
Oh, shit.
We'll see how things work out. And, I mean, we're looking at Georgia. We're looking at North Carolina next. I mean, those are the big ones, the possible gets for Harris. One thing I was encouraged about is the 2nd District of Florida is a very competitive race. Is 50% in. This is like the Tallahassee area. I think it's Neil Dunn is the Republican incumbent. It's really about the only competitive race so far. I think Weigel talked a little bit about the Paula Anna Luna race, the 13th district. And she won that pretty handily despite having some good polls from St. Petersburg poll. That's in the St. Petersburg area. So yeah, I mean, maybe in the 2nd district we'll get a shock. I mean, Neil Dunn is already up by, I think, a point or two. But I mean, it was surprising. Trying to look for bright spots, right? Look for bright spots for Democrats.
This could be a very sucky early evening.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
lot of. Well, I mean, I
The
hope
early
not.
side will suck. And then it'll get better? John, tell me what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, as the urban votes come in, it's going to get better, but it's going to take time for that to happen. And so, I mean, for a little while, we're going to see a lot of Trump support, a lot of Republican leads. I wish it wasn't that way.
What of the swing states which one of the swing states do you anticipate that we will hear a call on first, if we do?
Wisconsin. I mean, they count their votes. The only thing that is going to, I mean, Michigan closes an hour before Wisconsin, but Wisconsin is very good at counting votes.
But what about this whole Milwaukee thing? Did you not hear about this?
I did not.
They're going to have to recount
Around 30,000.
everything they've already counted in Milwaukee, and that may push it to after midnight.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, generally, what I've been reading is that the calls are going to come a lot faster than in 2020 because of COVID and everything, and so hopefully we'll see some earlier calls. If Harris can win by margins over, let's say, between 1 and 1.5 in the formerly blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, then, we might get a call maybe tomorrow. I mean, I think we might have calls earlier in Wisconsin and Michigan. Of course, hopefully there won't be a polling error in Trump's favor, because Wisconsin was the state that had the biggest polling errors in 2016 and 2020 in Trump's favor.
So do you think that caused pollsters to overcompensate, or no? You don't. You have a big fight with Emma, don't you?
I wouldn't say it's a fight. I would say it's
Seems like a fight.
a bit of.
Well, you said that there's no chance that the Democrats retain the Senate, and that's what I took umbrage with, John.
Yeah, I still feel that way. I mean, look at Microsoft Powell. I mean, I had her winning, or only down losing by 4 points, and she lost by like 12. I mean, I'm basing this on
All right, well,
polling averages.
Let me give some good news while we experience this red mirage. So Allegheny County, which is definitely one of the most important counties when we're looking at Pennsylvania here, it includes Pittsburgh and its suburbs. Biden had improved on Hillary Clinton in Allegheny County by 40,000 votes. So this is, Hillary obviously didn't do very well, so Harris would need to match Biden's totals. So Allegheny County has reportedly processed around 83% of its mail in over 222,000 ballots. Harris is at 72.1% and Trump is at 26.6%. But what's amazing, so first of all, the Democratic partisan breakdown is 65.9% for Democrats, meaning there was an increase for her with independent voters. Trump, the partisan breakdown for Republicans is 23%, Trump getting 26%, less of a marginal increase in terms of what independents are seeing. But Daniel Nickanian, friend of the show, points out what's striking is that the results beneath it for Casey and McCormick, the Senate race there, is basically identical to what the results are for Harris, matching that total. So the point is just that we've seen throughout this cycle all of these pollsters. Can you see that, Sam?
Yeah.
All of these pollsters have been overestimating candidates in Senate and gubernatorial races, and
We hope.
Well, we'll see. Underestimating Harris. That's been my read on it, right? But if Harris is able to even be close to what we're seeing, maybe not in Pennsylvania, but in North Carolina and in Arizona in particular, we're in really, really good shape, because some of these polls had double-digit differences, and my contention always has been, John, that you can't have that many split ballots in any realistic manner.
We should say that in Northampton County, a judge refused to extend voting hours despite waits of up to 6 hours plus near Lehigh University. Now, if you're in line at 8 p.m., you can still vote. Andy Kim has won the Senate race in New Jersey. That's a good switch. That's a good replace from Menendez. I mean, not just the fact that Menendez is an incredible criminal, but was crappy on the Iran deal, crappy on a whole host of foreign policy issues, frankly.
Cuba hawk, and then was also like literally taking bribes.
Yeah, I mean...
Got caught the first time, then...
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
A lot of people keep that amount of gold in your closet, or...
We all have so many gold bars that, hiding in our closets, right?
Hey, folks, when you leave tonight, first off, I should say we have a bunch of merchandise available to purchase. You can purchase a hat identical to the one that I gave Tim Pool's baby in his off-brand Neverland the other day. But also, as you leave, not allowed to hand this out beforehand, which would have been great, but tomorrow night you may be celebrating, or maybe you will be trying to, soothe yourself. But if you want to bounce back the next day, as you leave, pick up
Warren and Bernie reelected.
Yep. No surprise. As you leave, pick up a bottle of Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics, the pre-alcohol probiotic drink, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Here's how it works. When you drink, you get some enzymes that are created in your stomach. They're toxic byproducts. Sheldon Whitehouse wins. New England. It is that byproduct and not dehydration.
Section Bernie Bros is all about it.
Z-Biotics makes you have a nice good morning tomorrow. You can get some out in the front. I drank some tonight before having a couple of drinks. Emma also. I don't know if you guys did. But it really works well. Go to zbiotics.com/majority. Use the code majority at checkout.
Oh, whoa!
John?
Only 18%.
John?
Only 18%.
Yeah, I mean, I said it was going to be close today, right? I said it was going to be a 1-point race, and now he's up. What is that? 18%, which is still.
That's significant.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good.
I mean,
feel
look,
good about that.
Sam, you called it today.
Well,
I mean,
listen, 18% in Texas. I wouldn't get too excited.
Emma's counting her winnings already.
All right, let me just tell you the coupon code
Yeah.
for Z-Biotics before we get too excited about 18% in Texas. 3% in Michigan. Zbiotics.com/majority. Use the code majority at checkout. You can sign up for a subscription. Stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Z-Biotics backed with 100% money-back guarantee. If you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Go to zbiotics.com/majority. Also, do not forget, we got, 25,000 people watching us live right now on the stream?
Yeah, something like that.
Someone just said? That live stream brought to you by sunsetlakesebede.com. $5 off your purchase, regardless of how big it is. Use the coupon code LEFTISBEST. $5 will go to UNRWA, split between their emergency funds for Lebanon and for Gaza. Doesn't matter what you can buy their merchandise, their smokables, their tincture, their gummies, sunsetlakesebede.com. So, John, what else should we be looking for? Later in the evening, we'll have you back. But what else should we be looking for? Like, what's the next shoe that you anticipate dropping that we should be looking out for? Or is there a shoe?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be looking at Harris's most probably accessible path to victory, which would be Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So I'm going to be looking at all three of those states. Pennsylvania should be, coming, very soon.
We have
same
7%
with Michigan.
for Pennsylvania.
Right.
Harris, again, this is very early. Harris at 73 and Trump at 26. 7%. 7%. Yeah,
Stop the count.
And the Ohio Senate race has 28% in, dead tie. Sherrod Brown is up by less than a percentage point, but still an encouraging sign. And if there is some of that movement with some of those older white voters that we talk about, if Iowa has Harris up +3, and that's earnest, right, John? Would that portend well for Sherrod Brown and for Ohio in and of itself?
It could. I mean, Sherrod Brown had polling leads, most of the cycle until I guess about 6 weeks ago. And then they got worse in the last month. But I mean, he could win. I mean, he could win. I don't want to, I want him to win. I'm trying to be objective. I'm trying to play two roles here, like being objective and also being a partisan Democrat, and those are hard. That's a hard balance to make, and so.
Aspirations sometimes bleed into the calculations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, right, like when I do the letter hack shows,
Shameless.
Come on.
Shameless.
Come on, Matt is here tonight. Just had a nice dinner with him. He's a good guy.
Where is he? Where's Matt?
Yeah, stand up, Matt.
He's in the bathroom. Where is he? Matt, are you there?
Yeah.
There he is. Folks, check out the poster that Matt did. It's out on the front there. You can purchase. Stay here for a moment, because maybe we can have someone play you out. I want to welcome somebody I was supposed to bring on about an hour ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is a Tim Poolologist. He is the proprietor of a very popular YouTube channel who will be here tonight as our, wait, who did he say he wanted to be? I can't remember now. Ladies and gentlemen, R.M. Brown. No sunglasses. All right, he's going to be dropping drops all night. John, we're going to play you off. Do you have any other final comments before we bring you back a little later in the evening?
Yeah, that race, that second district, that's actually about plus 20 now. So
Which race?
The Neil Dunn race, Florida second district. So that's the when you even in a 50% in, it was probably all of Tallahassee that came in first. It's kind of a reverse of a red mirage.
So what you're saying, until you see 85, 90% in, just calm down.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it's when you're a candidate, you want to win. I mean, you kind of get excited. You get a rush of adrenaline.
But that doesn't get you more votes after the polls have closed.
But I mean, it makes you feel good, right?
I mean, for a brief period of time, and then you just you crash.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's to be expected, but I mean, it was nice. Usually, if it's like 10%, 15%, I won't mention it. But when it gets to 50%, okay, that's like, you mentioned that at that point.
Okay, all right. All right,
Okay.
There we go.
All right, well, John, very well
you
done.
want to play
Thank
him
you
off
very
with
much.
a couple of, what do you got for us? All right, bro. With Paul Schaefer.
Be my mommy, Mamala. Shrek is Hezbollah. Shrek is Hezbollah.
You need a tongue bath, and
I've been in the toilet stall.
because you guys are grifters.
You're about to be value-tained.
The authoritarians are coming for you. They want your asshole to be stimulated.
You need a tongue bath, and I'm your guy. Haitians are eating cats and dogs.
Whoa.
Haitians are eating cats and dogs.
Hey, unbelievable.
Why did
All
I
right,
say
let's listen
that
to John King for a second.
Above 60% in Bucks County at the end of the night, she's going to win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but it is very, very early. Why do I say that? Because Joe Biden won it last time with just 52%. This is a very tough, there's a good, strong Trump base in Bucks County. So what you see at the moment is mostly early votes, but we watch and we see. Another place here is Montgomery County. Again, when I started doing this is where Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush won elections. No more. It's a Democratic stronghold now, but you see right now, it's very early on, 800 votes when you add that up. So we won't even bother with the comparison. Then you just pop down to Delaware County. Same issue, about 15% of the vote in. So we can take a look here. I was just here the other day in Delaware County, and you see it's overwhelmingly Democratic, but you do see some pockets of Trump support. This is one of the places it's a key test. He's not going to win Delaware County. Can he improve his standing in the suburbs just a little bit? That's Donald Trump's big challenge. Improve your standing in the suburbs just a little bit. 15%. He's at 24% right now. If you go back 4 years ago, he was at 36%. So if he stays where he is, he's in trouble in Pennsylvania. But
I just want to point this out. So this is going to be, I think, the most important thing to watch is suburban districts and even ex-urban districts that have a mix of suburban and rural voters. For better for worse, the Harris campaign has been targeting suburban voters, people who are sick of Trump, for his rudeness, for his lack of respectability, for his criminality. That's basically for affluent suburbanites in many ways, and upper middle class to middle class people. So Bucks County is a really important county to watch in that regard, but you also have Montgomery County, which is the most populous Philadelphia suburban county that we should be watching out for. Biden ended up getting 40,000 more votes there than Hillary Clinton did in 2016, so that was really key for him winning the state. Allegheny County, as I mentioned as well. And then Erie County is something, I've been there actually, I went to a Trump rally there. That's like, it's in the northwest part of Pennsylvania. That went for Obama in both times that he ran, but Trump in 2016 and back to Biden in 2020. So that's a bellwether county for the most part. So if we're watching how Erie goes, there's a good chance that that's how the rest of the state is going to go.
I'm looking at some House races, the ones to watch. There's not a lot of votes in some of the key House races. Maybe, Bradley, you can pop this up on your screen here. Right there. But let's hear it for Bradley. So I'm looking over the, as you can see here, most of these races to watch, and they're races to watch both because they give you a sense of where they're bellwethers. They give you a sense of what's going on. The only race here, or there's one that's projected. This is House 13. Luna was projected to win. I don't have numbers on what people anticipated she winning, but I can tell you in Virginia, House District 7, this is a seat that has been really close. Back in 2020, Spanberger, who is now running for governor, stepped down. She won that seat by about a point, maybe a little bit less. Again, 39% in, tough to know where those votes are coming from. And until we know exactly where that is, but, you know, you can't predict much from that. The rest of these races, we've yet to see numbers come in. Now, we're going to, wow, I just saw a NBC new exit poll. Majority of Texas voters think abortion should be legal. Not sure how legal, but I guess we're going to get a better sense. All right. I think we should fire up the ping. I will tell you when to put it up there. But now listen, I want people to reserve judgment. Our next guest is someone who I have, at time in the past, considered someone I was friends with. We're not super tight, but it's not Tim Pool. We worked together, not necessarily in person, but I had a very good, let me tell you. Listen, I have absolutely not agreed with maybe a single stance or thing he has done this campaign. Voting's about closed across the country. The guy knows politics, and he reached out. I said, fine, maybe we can talk about some of the stuff that you've done that I haven't appreciated. Give him a chance.
Build some bridges.
Want to welcome to the program RFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy.
Hey. How you doing, Sam? Good to see you, pal.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, can we make this quick? I have a German Shepherd that's roasting on my grill right now. Got a pretty sweet roadkill. But it's good to see you, pal. Mainly because when I can see you, you can't stab me in the back.
I'm not stabbing you in the back. I mean, I think...
Hey, by the way, just so your audience of vaccinated snowflakes know, I'm a little tipsy tonight. I've been pounding some fermented owl urine for the past 2 hours.
Wait, so fermented apple urine? What did you say?
It's a cure-all. It cures measles, mumps, and I'm hoping herpes. Hey, pipe down. I hope you all choke on your kombuchas.
So, Bobby, let's start with the
Call me
thing.
Mr. Kennedy.
What?
Call me Mr. Kennedy, you son of a bitch. Traitor. God damn it.
Okay. Mr. Kennedy.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Shoot. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to get a sense. What? I know you're heavily invested in Donald Trump winning. Give me your sense of what the chances are that he will win.
Look, let me just say this one thing. She's a woman, okay? And I'm not just saying that. Well, look, this is science. The female cranium is much smaller than the male cranium. And you can't squeeze this is science now. You can't squeeze as much brains in there. So I think it would be devastating if she takes the presidency.
If she what?
If she takes the presidency, I think that would be terrible for our country.
Okay. Because of her brain size?
Open your ears, jackass. Listen, are you the one with worms in your brains? The female cranium is much smaller than the male cranium, so the females don't have brains the size of males. That's why there's never been a female president, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I mean,
Congress, let's talk about.
I know you agree with me.
I don't.
Yeah, we've had phone calls. I know. Listen, the lady next to you, I know you can't be honest right now, Sam, because there's a beautiful lady next to you, but we all know.
Take it
Look,
easy.
Yeah.
I think you might be in enough trouble right now at home. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's over. Believe me.
Well, what's over? Which situation is over?
The Curb Your Enthusiasm situation. Now, believe me, it's all been curbed. Trust me.
All right.
Excuse me. A little more urine, real quick. It doesn't go down too smooth, to be honest with you. You'd be surprised how bad owl urine tastes.
I don't think I would, actually. I think I would assume it tastes pretty bad. The House. We have both men and women running for office in the House. Who's going to control the House?
Well, that is a woman's job, and I wouldn't be surprised if a woman controlled the house. With the cooking and the cleaning and the vacuuming, they're very good at that.
I'm talking about like the Congress, the House as in the House of Representatives.
Oh, who gives a shit? Is that important? I don't know. Look at this. This is my cricket Jiminy. Right here.
What?
I have a cricket. It's my pet cricket, Sam.
What are you doing? Is that the cricket from that video you made?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You saw that. I didn't know you watched my TikToks. Yeah, it's a grasshopper. It's beautiful. He's a chameleon, skyhopper from Australia. I call him Seder because he changes his colors to fit any situation and avoid danger, like some people I fucking know. See you later, Seder.
Wait, what? What about the Senate?
Oh, the Senate. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna bet on red. Listen, Sam.
Yeah.
Let me be totally honest. I have not been following politics in the past few months. I've been dealing with a lot of nude photos from journalists, and it's distracting. I honestly don't know what's going on.
What about? But what about? I thought.
Oh yeah. after a while, you get kind of used to it.
What about the whole, you're going to be in charge of like getting rid of the fluoride in the water, and what about all that?
We're going to get rid of the fluoride. That's right. We're going to change and put some Ozempic in there, get the ladies looking nice. I'm going to be the women's health czar if Trump wins.
Oh gosh.
And I promise to make some changes, some good changes.
What?
I'm curious. What changes?
Of course, women have been totally burdened with their menses for generations now. And as the women's health czar, I will require all women and menstruating people to run a marathon once a month. This will help in 3 ways. Number 1, it will end the wild mood swings and unhealthy cravings associated with the lady cycle. As you elite athletes don't menstruate. Number 2, this will make pregnancies virtually impossible, therefore solving the abortion debate. Okay? I'm not hearing applause. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. I'm starting to like your audience a little bit. Anyway, and number 3 will make women more attractive to men that run companies, and this will solve the wage gap, as it proven that attractive people earn more in any gender. They earn more money than the ugly people. You're welcome.
Thank you, I guess. I mean, it's tough to maintain a conversation if you haven't been following politics, Bobby. Is there anything else? I mean, you wanted to say
is there any way I can get out of here? That would be great. No, I'm just kidding.
Where are you?
Well, my wife has me sleeping in the basement now. It's actually pretty cold down here.
Well,
sometimes I worry this is actually my urine because there isn't a toilet down here. It's a good chance I've been drinking my urine. Anyway, I gotta go, buddy. But good luck to you, Trump 2024.
Bobby Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, thank you.
God bless. God bless America. All right.
I'm glad you guys mended fences.
I didn't get the sense that any fences were mended, to be honest with you. I wasn't aware of the urine thing. I really didn't.
All right, you want some updates?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is Senate related, but 41% reporting in Ohio. Trump is up by 2 points, but Sherrod Brown is up by 3 against Bernie Moreno. So if that result continues, Sherrod Brown would need a significant amount of split tickets, but he has done that many times before, so I'm not that worried about that one, to be honest with you.
I mean, the interesting thing there is he's outpacing Trump in those areas. These are not, now they may be more blue-leaning areas. Maybe we can see if Kornacki Cam is available. But that's a good sign if you have, it's the same counties coming in voting for Trump as voting for Brown in that instance. So that's pretty good stuff. Next polls close in about 18 minutes. Let's bring on our next guest, shall we?
We should.
We'll bring on both right now. And what are you doing? You want to come on? Yeah, sure. And do we have a seat over there, too? Let's bring out, ladies and gentlemen, you may know him as Old Matt, or you may know him as the host of Dune. Matt Binder.
USA! 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 Johnson! What's up, everybody?
Let's also bring out our next guest, and people are gonna walk in, walk out. She's the host of the Bituation Room, Francesca Fiorentini.
Shrek is Hezbollah. You need a tongue bath, and I'm your guy.
What has happened to the Democrats?
It's Gallego.
Yeah, I got that now.
Gallego.
Thanks.
Liz
Why
Cheney.
are you there?
Liz Cheney.
Liz Cheney.
What do you have in there?
Which one is Liz?
We're not telling you.
Okay.
I wanted to sit between them. Was that wrong? Anyone else want to be between Emma and Sam? Is that wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, is anyone else not drunk?
What?
Oh, are we being pundits tonight?
Oh, yes, very serious.
Oh, cool. Oh, Colin Allred might win. He's not gonna fucking win. Fuck. I'm just kidding. I'm hopeful.
You sounded.
You were sitting back in the green room, I guess. We know what you're doing.
I left my child behind for this.
That's true.
Like permanently, or?
I mean, if all goes well tonight, yes.
And Matt, do you have a babysitter?
Yeah, my wife.
We don't have
She
to
doesn't want
discuss
to come
it.
here anyway.
How's everybody feeling? I mean, about the election?
What?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I wasn't saying generally.
I mean, it's gonna be a long night. Look at this standing room only. I'm so sorry for y'all. I think we should it'll be like a cuddle puddle by the end of this. It'll be good. I'm feeling good, you know. I am worried about what the new line is if Trump is reelected. Because it's been like, we're not going back. We're not going, but what if we're like, fuck, we gotta go back, dude. Like, it's like you're an hour into a road trip and you forgot like your computer charger back at home. You're like, fuck, I'm going back, you know? I gotta get my QAnon uncle. So like that, I'm prepping for that.
Uh-huh. Well, that's fair. Can I give some other updates? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm barely listening as I furiously scroll. So Harris is early votes. They have tabulated this in Lackawanna County. Scranton's home. This will upset one Mr. Joseph Robinette Biden. Harris is up 67-32 in Lackawanna, and Biden had won that by 53.5%. So that would be a lovely cherry on top for me.
Only 26% of the vote
Only
in.
26%. But if she ends up winning Scranton and that area by a larger margin than Biden.
67-32 is huge.
Right, but only 26% in. So that's what I'm hoping for. Just like, you know, another way to rub Biden's face in it. That's always fun.
That's what Weigel was saying, was like, that's indicative if that goes to Harris. These.
Oh, he was saying that.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, these Scranton, rural Pennsylvania type areas.
Yes.
I have to say, I have a lot more, I think, sort of like hesitation when we get in the, you know, when we're down to like a quarter of the vote in. 2004, the Majority Report was on Air America Radio. Janine Garofalo and I did a live show somewhat similar to that. Were you there? Oh my gosh. You remember. It was extremely depressing. George Bush won re-election in 2004. They put marriage equality on the ballot. They drove out the evangelical vote in a way that really they had never done before. And it was extremely depressing. And of course, 2016, you remember, Matt. Now, you weren't on the Majority Report anymore. At that point, you had moved on.
Right,
But you were just telling me, like, where were you in 2016?
Right. So in 2016, I was working at a place that called Cafe, which is now Preet Bharara's podcast. And it wasn't Preet Bharara's podcast then because he had a job doing something more important than doing a podcast at the time.
Excuse me?
So yeah, when Trump won in 2016, I actually lost my job because Trump fired Preet Bharara and then he took over the Cafe as his podcast. But before that all happened, the night before, the day before the election in 2016, I was working for Cafe, and at the time we were like a political, funny news humor outlet, and there was a fake pundit working for us called Carl Diggler that you all might remember. The Chapo guys, like Felix, he was behind that, and they had submitted their electoral map for 2016 the day before, and I was looking over it with the editor there at the time, Blake Zeff, and they put Michigan in there for Trump, and I remember turning to Blake and telling him, I mean, not Trump, they gave it to Hillary, and I remember turning to my editor, Blake, and being like, I think they're wrong here. Why is Trump spending his last day, his last campaign stop, his last rally in Michigan? Something's off. So, then I knew that we were in for a problem.
Did you hire a mariachi band in advent of Hillary Clinton's eventual victory? Because that was me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but whatever.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah. I use company funds. Oh, sorry, but I didn't mean to jump on it.
Nothing like that. No mariachi band here. I will
but you
say
knew
though,
something was up when it was Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say that last election in 2020, I spent my election night on a live stream hosted by one Lauren Chen, and she's doing something else this election, I think.
She's sending nudes to RFK. I don't know.
This is why you guys don't get invited places.
She's the one who was behind Tenet Media, the Russian outlet that was paying Tim Pool. Yeah.
Good for her. Lean in, girl. Okay.
They should apologize to Russia. They should apologize to Russia.
She actually was called. She's Canadian. She's Canadian, I believe, and she was called in front of Canadian Parliament today, and she showed up and wouldn't answer any questions because she said she's being investigated by the U.S. government, and so the Canadian Parliament held her in contempt. I mean, again, I think she's doing something different this election day than doing a stream with me on it.
The nicest jail ever, just a Canadian. Oh, sorry. Can you see the TV okay?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know what necessarily to make of this, but gender breakdown of exit polls in Pennsylvania show 6% more women.
That's my gender.
I've heard of them.
It explains why you have people like Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk begging men to go to the polls.
So,
it's sort of fascinating.
Harris has won 2 states since we last were projected. That's what I'm furiously scrolling, trying to figure out. She's won New Hampshire and Virginia, which... expected.
What's up with CNN over here? They only got her at 27, right? What the hell?
This is what Decision Desk is projecting. I will say that, so Florida was worse than anticipated for Democrats. So the idea that Florida would have possibly gone blue is such a pipe dream at this point. Trump so far is doing a little bit better in Georgia than we will like. But we'll see. Some experts are saying that Sherrod Brown, maybe I shouldn't be so confident here, because he would want more separation from Harris for some of those split tickets based on the districts and the counties that have come back. One piece of bad news is that the abortion measure in Florida has failed.
Now that needed 60%
threshold, yeah.
Do we know what the...
No final total. That happened like 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
It's fucking nightmarish.
55, you said? Thank you. I can't see you, but I can
It got to 55%?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Our decision desk over there. Well-
man in red hat that seems chill, though.
There was a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys were following what was going on in Florida, but DeSantis was basically threatening to to shut down news outlets that were reporting on
the ads.
How the ads were, basically misinformation. I mean, yeah, of course.
All right. We will have, okay, what do we have coming up? I've got my documents.
I mean, that's pretty devastating in Florida. Like, I just want to, name how fucked that is, right? Because we've seen abortion measures pass in far redder states, ostensibly. So, and again, you guys have talked about how shit the Democratic Party is in Florida. I mean, Rick Scott won handily. I was excited because he was running scared after the Puerto Rico comments that he was actually kind of nervous for his race there, but he won it outright. And so, yeah, we're just going to see a lot more abortion refugees from Florida, and also we're going to see women die. And
we have.
And we already have in that state specifically. So.
And well, that obviously is bad for people who live in Florida, and obviously the abortion thing is horrible. But for the rest of the country, though, Florida getting redder means that ostensibly Republicans from other states are moving there as sort of like a right-wing mecca, like they go pray to Mar-a-Lago or something.
We're secession, right? We're very close to just
the Bugs Bunny meme where they just cut Florida off,
sawing it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, let them keep moving there. Again, I'm sorry for people in Florida. We won't give up on you, but let them keep moving there and turning the other states bluer. Maybe set up a travel for people from Texas and Georgia, and we'll pay for your trip down to move to Florida. I don't know, but it does seem like that's what's going on. People who love Trump and love DeSantis and love being Republicans and right-wingers are moving to Florida, and that might be good for the rest of us.
I think that's also the dynamic that's happening with Arizona a little bit, too. You're getting people from California and New York, for that matter, but who are moving to Arizona because they don't like the fact that people believe that there was a pandemic,
right.
That COVID still exists, that could be daylight.
It's like the one
time.
thing they're right about. Doesn't that suck? Arizona's right about daylight savings. Fuck.
It's so mean to pets, too, because they don't know that they're getting fed an hour
Pets,
later.
try babies, dude. Babies have no idea.
Thank you.
That's the one thing we will get done. If the Senate goes red, at least we could abolish daylight savings once and for all, right, people?
All right, so 9 p.m., so we got 4 minutes.
Yeah, let's pop up
Polls closing in these states.
the CNN thing here.
Arizona, Iowa, the apple
Around
of
9
my
p.m., just
Iowa,
5 minutes from now.
Minnesota,
I'm told by the clerk.
Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, and Wisconsin. Reminder that when Arizona comes in, we're not going to know Arizona for 48 hours. So just throw that out. But essentially, that's what we have coming around the pike in 4 minutes.
I want everyone to know just how much Emma and I are going to lib the fuck out if Kamala Harris wins.
Oh, I've already started, and she hasn't won. Yeah.
We're just going to go and it's okay to be excited about the first female Blasian president. As a mixed-race person myself, I'm so excited to have representation at the highest office of people who don't know how to racially profile you or throw slurs at you because they don't know what you are. I fucking love that for this country. I'm going to lib so hard. And then we fight for an arms embargo, should that happen.
Absolutely.
All right, let's put up the audio on this one here.
the largest county, that it's taking longer than expected to process early ballots. The first release of 1.1 to 1.2 million ballots of those early ballots at about 10 p.m. Eastern tonight will only account for early votes through last Tuesday, October 29th. That is less than the initial estimate that the first drop would be comprised of ballots through at least Friday, they thought. So it's going more slowly there. One more thing I want to note, I'm told they're going to keep up 24-hour shifts in Maricopa to keep things moving. They understand how important it is to get those results out, those accurate results out as quickly as possible.
All right, Pam, thank you very much. You take all of that together, look at where we are. What do you see, John King?
That tells me to tell the people at home either slow down on the popcorn or make some more, because we're going to be at this a while and maybe brew an extra pot.
You're not
I just want to start in Michigan because Pam was just talking about Macomb County, Michigan. You see Detroit right here. This is Wayne County. We have no votes. The reason we can't say much about Michigan right now is we have 0 votes in the largest population center. And then she mentioned Macomb County, which is right here, blue collar. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, this is where they were studying Reagan Democrats, right? Why were union auto workers voting for Ronald Reagan for president?
If they're
that
showing
continues
maps
out
of
there right now.
0%
About a month
in.
ago. It's a huge test out there, but it's very early in Michigan, only 8%. So let's
We
come
are
back out to
super
the
fucked.
battlegrounds where we have more votes. Let's check here. Only up to 15% in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The vice president with a big lead. Pennsylvania's not going to end. No matter who wins Pennsylvania, it's not going to end a 30-point race. We just know that as we count more votes. So we'll wait. And
The
try to get
Amish
more
buggies
in
are still on their way,
Pennsylvania.
folks.
This is one of the surprises.
Don't
A lot of
count out
surprises
the
on the
Trump
map right
vote.
now.
They'll be here
I'd like
any
it to
minute.
end this way. You see the vice president leading in Kansas, the vice president leading in Missouri, the vice president, even though we've already projected Arkansas, that's just early votes. The votes will come in. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. We're open to surprises here, but we'll keep a look at it. A surprise that has a lot of votes counted so far is Virginia. They're almost up to the halfway mark here, and Donald Trump is ahead in a state Joe Biden carried 4 years ago by 10 points. By 10 points. So let's see, one of the things we do at this point when you get up to almost half of the vote is what's missing. Right? This is live outstanding votes. The larger the circle, the more votes are out in an area. The color of that circle tells you how the voting is going so far. So you see these big circles in Richmond and the suburbs, huge circles, and then smaller circles within them in the Washington, D.C. suburbs. So there are a lot of Democratic votes still to be counted. Vice President can't like that right now. You do not like being tied in battleground Virginia right now, but there are a lot of votes still to be counted, and you can tell from that a lot of them are Democratic, so we'll see. Same test in North Carolina, up to 38% of the vote. Trump with a narrow lead there. Let's just bring it up and look. Live outstanding votes. Again, your biggest outstanding votes are in the Democratic areas, Charlotte, Raleigh-Durham, Winston-Salem, Asheville, and Wilmington down there. So you have a very competitive race right there right now. You'd rather be Donald Trump and you'd rather be ahead, but there's a lot of vote counting to do. And again, this is one of the tightest of the battlegrounds. Virginia, a bit of a surprise, Jake, more counting elsewhere.
All right, John King, voting is about to end in 15 states, the second biggest wave of results this evening. 163 electoral votes will be up for grabs, and we're watching several crucial battlegrounds. CNN's going to bring you this projection right now. CNN projects that Texas will go to Donald Trump. The state of Texas has expected to Donald Trump with its big 40 electoral votes. CNN also projects that North Dakota will go to Donald Trump. As expected,
Matt.
North Dakota with its 3 electoral votes. 2 more for Trump now. CNN projects
You fucked up.
that
You fucked up.
South Dakota will go to Donald Trump. South Dakota, as expected, with its 3 electoral votes to Donald Trump. And
Both
CNN projects that
Dakotas.
Wyoming
That's so
will
sad.
go to Donald Trump. Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes. CNN is not making any projections in the following states that just closed their polls. Arizona, that's a big battleground. Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, battleground Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, and battleground
I'm sorry,
Wisconsin.
no
Let's look at the
projection in New
electoral
York
map
and Minnesota.
now.
I
Donald
mean,
Trump has
really fucking milking this,
154
aren't they? Oh,
electoral
come on.
votes. Kamala Harris has 27 electoral
They
votes.
just want these numbers to look
270
like this.
Are needed to win. Let's bring you a key race alert now. In battleground Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris in the lead with 64.4% of the vote. Donald Trump has 34.7% of the vote. Kamala Harris in the lead there with 326,000 plus votes.
16%.
Only an estimated 16% of the vote has been counted in Pennsylvania. In battleground Michigan, Kamala Harris in the lead, 54.8% of the vote. Donald Trump with 43.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris with a 55,000 plus vote lead. That's with only an estimated 8% of the vote counted in Michigan. Still very early in Michigan. In battleground North Carolina, Donald Trump in the lead there now, 51.8% of the vote. Kamala Harris
this
with
is not good.
47.1% of the vote.
This I don't like.
Donald Trump with a more than 106,000 vote lead. That's with 39% of the estimated vote counted in battleground North Carolina. In battleground Georgia, Donald Trump in the lead there, 52.8% of the vote. Kamala Harris with 46.6% of the vote. Donald Trump has a healthy 221,000 plus vote lead. That's with an estimated 66% of the vote counted in Georgia. About two-thirds of the vote in Georgia
result is
has
not
been
good.
counted.
Yeah,
in
where
the
have they
Commonwealth
left
of
the
Virginia,
count?
Donald Trump in the lead there now with 49.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris with 48.7% of the vote. Donald Trump with a 13,334 vote lead. That's with half the vote counted in the Commonwealth of Virginia, 50%
Okay, do
counted
we
there in
accept
Virginia.
these results
In the state
thus
of New
far,
Hampshire,
Sam?
Kamala Harris has 53.6% of the vote. Donald Trump has 45.7% of the vote. Kamala Harris in the
I say
lead there
no.
by roughly 16,000 votes. That's with about a quarter, 25% of the estimated vote counted in the Granite State of New Hampshire. In Ohio, Donald Trump in the lead, 52.9% of the vote. Kamala Harris with 46.3% of the vote. Donald Trump with a 197,000 plus vote. That's with half the vote counted in Ohio, 50% of the vote counted in Ohio. Let's go to John King at the Magic Wall. John.
All right, let's just hear what John King says about
Start
this.
with the context, what you just went through. I'm going to wander over to this wall here just to show the race to 270 at the moment. If you're a Republican, you might be saying, wow, this is a rout. If you're a Democrat, you might be saying, oh, my goodness, we should be worried. No. We're early in the night. As Chris Wallace said, I love the analogy, nobody has broken serve yet. As in, every red state
close-up
here,
on the
Donald
vote
Trump
total
won in
or on
2020
Alaska?
when he lost the White House. Every blue state on the map so far, Joe Biden carried when he won the White House. What don't we have? We don't have Rhode Island. We don't have Connecticut. We don't have New Jersey. We don't have Illinois just yet. Long-time blue states. So as we move west and as the count advances in some of the New York as well, some of the most reliably blue states, this map will change in the near future.
It's just
at least that is
absurd
our
that they're
expectation.
handing the
We'll keep
red
an eye on it.
states, the
That's
clear
path
red
to
states off the
270.
bat, and
You
then
get
it's
there
like, we got to
by
hold
filling
off on
these
New York
states
and New
in
Jersey. You
red
don't know
and
how
blue.
that's
So
going to
let's
play
see,
out.
again, an unusual map at the moment, just because the vote count is early, or because we're going to have the most surprising election of my lifetime. But in Nebraska right now, statewide, you have the vice president winning, but you see most of the votes are out here. She's not so much worried about the statewide vote. She'd love to win Nebraska, don't get me wrong. Nebraska's second congressional district is right here in the Omaha area. Nebraska and Maine award electoral votes based on congressional district, the two states that do that. So eastern Nebraska is what matters most to the vice president. We'll see if Nebraska stays blue. Again, to its south, the state of Kansas, 29% of the vote in. But you see all this? That's if you're playing Legos, that's Donald
she's
Trump.
winning
That's how he
Manhattan,
builds
no
his buildings
surprise.
Right there, those small rural counties all across America, especially in the heartland here. So Kamala Harris, the vice president, ahead with 52% of the vote. It's all over here.
Ahead.
Kansas City, Missouri, the suburbs here, the more blue areas, the college towns, and the more urban areas in Kansas is why she's ahead right now. It's only 29% of the vote. We'll watch as that map fills in. Again, Missouri, when I started doing this in 1988, spent a lot of time in Missouri with Michael Dukakis. It's not a battleground state
You're still
anymore.
not as
but
hot
at
as
the
Kornacki,
moment,
but
it's
okay.
51%, but it's only 7%. And again, you see votes coming in the suburbs just to the west of St. Louis, suburbs just to the east of Kansas City. That's why the Democrat is leading at the moment as we go through it. So now let's get to the states that we actually think will be the battlegrounds in the end. We'll keep looking. We'll keep looking. Open to surprises here. But let's check in on the big ones. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, still at 16%. This is a 30-point race, just shy of a 30-point race in a state we know is going to be decided by 1 or 2 points. So we'll continue to watch to see. I check in on it just to see if the vote count has gone up. It has not in a while, still 16%. Same with Michigan. We come over, we're up to 10% here right now, 53 to 45. Again, if there's an 8-point lead in Michigan, then you have a blowout. You expect this to be very close in the end. We're missing a lot, right? Earlier tonight, Grand Rapids was red for Donald Trump. That's Kent County out here. Right now, you see it's almost a tie. Right there. This is one of the battlegrounds within the battlegrounds. Fiercely, formerly reliably red, now a closely fought suburban area around Grand Rapids. We'll keep an eye on that. But still nothing out of Wayne County, Detroit. I just want to come up here to Ingham County. This is where Michigan State is. If this ends the night there, Donald Trump's going to feel very good about his Michigan chances, but we're at 3%. Students here, state capital, government town, should be blue by the end of the night. If it's not, that would tell you something huge. So let's come to where we have more votes in these battlegrounds. Again, I just want to check on Virginia again. This is our surprise at the moment. We're up to 50% of the
Harris
vote.
is underperforming.
And you have Donald Trump with a very narrow lead. I did this a moment ago. I just want to do it again for people at home.
She won. but
Most
she's
of the outstanding votes, these circles tell you, the larger the circle, the more outstanding votes we're still waiting to be counted. And the color tells you how the vote's coming in so far in that area. So you see a lot of blue up here. Virginia now has become a blue state because of the Washington, D.C. suburbs in Northern Virginia. The places, the counties within 25, 35 minutes, depending on traffic, drive. So that's out there, plus Richmond and the suburbs around there. We'll see. Donald Trump is remarkably in play in this state, and this would be, even if it's close, it might tell you something about what's going to happen to its south in North Carolina. They're not twins, but they're very similar, Virginia and North Carolina. North Carolina actually has a higher African-American population. So if you're the vice president, that's part of your base. Here's Donald Trump with a lead, 41% reporting. Again, should the Harris campaign be nervous? Both campaigns will be nervous about battleground North Carolina. It's going to go back and forth. But again, you see, there's still some large pockets of Democratic votes, also some pretty good-sized pockets of Republican votes in a battleground state. This one's going to take a while to sort out, but you see where the outstanding votes are. I didn't get to this last time in Georgia, so let's go down and look at battleground Georgia and bring that up here right now. We're up to 68% of the vote in Georgia, and you have 53 to 46. So if you're in the Trump campaign, you're thinking with more than 2/3 of the vote counted, you start to feel good about a lead that big, especially in a state that was, 11,700 votes 4 years ago. But let's see what's left out. Where are the outstanding votes? And you see right there why you're nervous. You're checking in with all your field captains and your precinct and your county people. You see right there, you see those giant circles right there, and a bigger circle, another big circle over here. There are still a lot of areas where we know vote disproportionately Democratic, where votes are to be counted in Georgia. I just want to come back and make one more observation here. You see that 242,000 vote lead. It is a little after 9 o'clock on Tuesday night. If you go back to 2020,
no fully
Donald Trump was leading Georgia by
counties counted in
244,000 votes
none in
at 9
Wisconsin,
o'clock
none
on
in
Tuesday night,
Pennsylvania.
election night in 2020. It was 244,000 votes
and I'm
then.
saying that to myself as much
votes.
as I'm saying this to all of you guys. Stand back and stand by. Thank you.
Wait, did you say the Fayette County?
Sorry?
Did you want to talk about this one right here?
If you want to talk about it.
Well, Georgia looks a little bleak until you see that map, and then you don't know. Apparently, in Fayette County, Georgia, so far, with 93% of the votes in, Trump is underperforming relative to 2020. Right now, it's 51% Trump, 48% Harris, 93% of the votes in. Trump did almost 2 points higher than he is right now in 2020 in that county.
Right.
The problem is when you're talking about that number of votes, you don't know if it's just a function of people coming in, moving into the county. 4 years ago, several thousand people. So.
But North Carolina, just to give some good news, North Carolina has some positive signs. I mean, thank you. You live there. Okay, so.
Yes.
Are you from Wake County or Mecklenburg?
Durham.
Okay. Well, I don't have that on my election cheat sheet, so I can't speak to it. But
Blue dots. There's a lot of good blue dots.
Near Wake. Gotcha. Thank you. So, Mecklenburg and Wake are two counties in North Carolina that we should be watching for. Mecklenburg contains Charlotte. It has suburbs as well. As I mentioned, suburbs are what we should be looking out for Harris. Democrats need to drive numbers in those two counties. And Wake County, viewers from there, similar to Mecklenburg, it has Raleigh in it and also suburbs. It's one of the fastest growing counties in the entire country. And Biden gained an almost 100,000 vote shift there. So, and he still lost North Carolina. Of these 7 battleground states, the one that Trump actually won in 2020 was North Carolina. And so I'm looking at this map right now in terms of North Carolina, which tab did I put it in? And turnout. And 87% of a deep red county is reporting. 22% of another red county, 86% of another red county, 84% of another red county. But Charlotte, Mecklenburg, only 6% is in. So, and Harris is down by 4. 5. I'm just saying. So, this is what we said was going to happen when we started the show, but it's also just happening in front of our eyes, and it's also
Extremely painful.
painful.
The polls were right, weren't they?
Yeah.
And how close it was going to be.
Yeah. Look, maybe I'm not going to be ready to concede until the fat lady sings.
Yeah, no, never. When do we riot? When's the riot? I'm excited for that. No, look, I had Greg Palast on my show, and Palast has been covering the amount of voter purging that's happened specifically in Georgia. The number of people who have been purged from the voter rolls, specifically, obviously, black Georgians, who've just disappeared, and they have to contest that. So, like, there's a lot of voter suppression happening in Georgia. It would not surprise me. Brian Kemp has made it a point to never let Georgia go blue ever again. And they have steadily purged these rolls for the last, 4 years, and increasingly in the last few months.
Okay.
We should say in Kentucky, some good news. Kentuckians rejected Amendment 2, a ballot measure that would have allowed public funding to go to private schools.
Thank you to the governor there, Andy Beshear, who has been very vocal against charters and school privatization.
Did we say Gallego projected to beat Kerry Lake?
That's nice.
It's from the election center.
Okay.
Let's try and bring Digby. I don't understand what you're asking, Bradley.
I called into the phones. Can you...
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry.
Harrison's New York,
Sorry.
so.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
But CNN still hasn't given anything to her. Look, we got 30 electoral votes over there.
Did the New Yorkers vote on the Working Families Party line?
Yeah!
Yes, very good. All right. Right in Joe Biden. I fucking love you, dude. I love you.
I'm staying in the race.
I'm staying in the race.
What do you all think he's doing right now?
Wait, we've got some ideas. Ice
cream, right?
Oh, he's tanning, sleeping.
No.
Dooning? Gooning.
No. I don't know what it is, but every time it comes up, I'm told not to say anything.
This sounds like a sexual thing.
So, okay, I'm a little less panicked. I'm looking at the... Sorry.
It's a county where, if you want to win Michigan, Joe Biden won by 154,000 votes, so you could say she has some to spare, if you will. She can lose a little bit in the coalition, but you don't want to lose a lot. And I was at the Michigan campus just last week, and they have a very aggressive young voter turnout operation there. We'll see later in the night if those numbers change at all. That's Michigan. Let's come back out and come over to the home state of Mr. Tapper, still at 20%. It's bumped up just a little bit there. So what are we looking at? Let's move it up just a little bit. We have some votes. Erie County, as I told you earlier, 25 counties in America, twice for Barack Obama, then to Donald Trump, and then flip back to Joe Biden. So it's a bellwether county. Doesn't mean the person who wins Erie County is going to win the Commonwealth and win the presidency, but that's what's happened in the last several presidential elections. So you look, we're just starting. Just getting started in Erie County. 512 votes, just for context. It's going to take close to 70,000 votes to win that county. So we're just starting. That's one of them. Let's come back to 2024 and move over here to Northampton County. Again, right along the New Jersey border, not terribly far from Allentown. The vice president ahead there at only 22% of the vote in. So that was, again, look how close it was. Joe Biden just barely carried it. Donald Trump just barely carried it 4 years before that. That's the way it tends to end up. So we'll watch as that plays out. Here's something we do want to look at, is Lehigh County. Only 20% of the vote in here. If there is an impact from the Donald Trump Madison Square Garden event, where so many insults were made about Puerto Ricans and about Mexicans and about Latino and Hispanic Americans. If you're going to see an impact, this is one of the places you might see it.
Would have been
right
quicker
here.
just to say
And that's
who
why both
wasn't
Trump and
offended
Harris
at the
went to
jokes.
Allentown in the final days
If
of the
you're not a
campaign to
white.
try to take advantage of it. We're only at 20% right there. But again, you're doing this for context. 62% for the vice president. You go back in time to Lehigh County 2020, 53%. If the vice president can overperform Joe Biden in Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, she's in good shape. So we watch that as it plays out. We're only at 20% of the vote right now.
Thank you,
It would come down to it.
pre-Ozempic
It's only
Anderson
20.
Cooper.
It's only 20%. So then you come out more. Where else are you looking in Pennsylvania? Let's bring this up. You also had the vice president door knocking
Clinton.
in
He
Berks
was
County.
on Lolita
Berks County at
Express,
the
I
moment
swear.
is blue. If Berks County ends the night blue, my bet would be on Vice President Harris winning Pennsylvania. Why? Let's look at it. Let's show you where it is. Here's Philadelphia. Here's the close-in suburbs around it. And then as you drive out, what used to be farm country, now you see the homes lined up, right? People moving further out because that's the only place they can afford a home. That's places like Berks County, Pennsylvania. Half the vote counted, a little bit shy of that right now.
That's where AOC
51
was
to 48,
yesterday, Reading.
right? Let's go back in time.
Large Puerto Rican American
That was a
population.
53% county for Donald Trump in 2020 when he lost Pennsylvania, and it was a 53% county in 2016 when he won Pennsylvania. So if you're the vice president of the United States, you keep an eye on this one. If you can keep this blue, your chances to win the Commonwealth are improved dramatically so. Spent a lot of time there over the last year. It is interesting. Found a lot of Nikki Haley voters there, a lot of Reagan Republicans who don't like Donald Trump, who were kind of tormented about voting for Trump or voting for Harris. So we'll keep an eye on that one there. Then you move out here. This is the number 2 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Allegheny County is Pittsburgh and the suburbs around it. The labor vote, the blue collar vote, a smaller African American population, but the urban vote Democrats need. So she's at 68% when you look at that there. You come back in time. He was at 59%.
That's where you win the hockey
so again,
vote.
We're early. Let me come back to 2024 and come out. It's 40%. So it's early. These tend to be early votes, which tend to favor Democrats more. So we want to wait and get more to see if that's contextual. At the moment, she's outpacing the President of the United States in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in some key places. We will see if that holds up. The flip side.
She's doing
Pick
well
one.
in Pennsylvania.
Cuyahoga County, along the border, northern border of Pennsylvania. Donald Trump getting 71% there. Half the vote is in. Again, this is Donald Trump's secret, just runs it up in small rural counties across America, 75%. So keep an eye on that. It's early. We're still counting votes right there. But is the Trump base turning out in the same math numbers in a place like Pennsylvania? He needs to run it up in places like this. There's Bradford again.
Want to bring into the program via phone. She is a columnist for Salon.com and the proprietor of the Uber blog Hullabaloo. Ladies and gentlemen, Heather Digby Park.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Digby. Heather, can you hear me?
I can sure hear you. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay.
There's the abbreviated song. So we're here with about 350 or so of some of my closest friends. And I don't know, Emma, you can characterize where we are in the evening. We're in the part of the evening where the anxiety, at least for me, is seeping in. And the idea that just days ago they were running an entire national campaign on the premise that OnlyFans owners of squirrels should be able to keep their squirrels. That's not a euphemism, that's a literal story. That seems to have fallen by the wayside, at least in my mind, and I'm a little anxious.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I am anxious too, and this is a very familiar feeling, isn't it? I mean, here we are again in one of these tight presidential races, And we're sitting here, it's that time of the evening where we're sitting there watching Steve Kornacki and watching, John King or whatever, and now I've got whole lists on Twitter and threads of people who, experts in this stuff that I'm doom scrolling it, and I'm looking at, what's the margin in Fayetteville, and all that kind of stuff. And it's nuts, because where we are is where we thought we were going to be. Now, I will admit that I had been sort of fooled into thinking that maybe I never thought it would be a landslide, of course, but I thought it might be more decisive than it was in 2020 or 2016. I thought this time maybe people will have gotten sick enough of Orange Julius Caesar that they will, actually vote in larger numbers against him. And it looks like we're at another nail biter. And it's probably going to come down to what everybody has said it was going to come down to the whole time, which was the blue wall, and maybe, pick up one or two, maybe, of the other battleground states, but maybe not. But one of the things to remember as we're watching this whole thing unfold tonight, Biden won Georgia last time by 12,000 votes. Famously, what was it, 11,980 or something? Just find me 11,000 votes. Trump only won North Carolina by 26,000 votes. Wisconsin, Biden won by 20,000 votes. So that is what this is like now. This is where we are, and this is what we deal with, and we're not going to know right away. And then there's going to be a big stink, and Trump's going to claim, that it was stolen, and we're going to go through that whole mess. That's just the way it is in America in this era, and I'm so tired of it.
Yeah, and that's the rosy scenario, right? Where he has to claim...
that's assuming they go the right way, right? Yeah, they could go either way.
What? How much thought have you given... do you have scenarios of this is what how I'm going to orient myself if Harris wins? This is how I'm going to orient myself if Trump wins? Or is that just too difficult to contemplate at this point?
Well, you have to think about it. If you're in our business, you certainly do, because it's not like, if I didn't do this for a living, I might think, well, if Trump wins, I'll drop out and go raise chickens somewhere and forget everything. I would be tempted to just leave the whole thing and not think about it. I'm at an age where maybe I can just eke out the rest of my life and not have to, and that'll be the end of that. But, I can't do that. And obviously, it'd be probably impossible for me to do it anyway. So just as being someone who's observing politics, I'll tell you, orienting myself to a Harris win is fairly easy, I think. Right. I can sort of see the difficulties of dealing with a fractious Congress, maybe if the Democrats don't pull off the House this time, which is entirely possible. That's also very close, and the Senate does not look very promising. We've been there before, and that's just something that perhaps we can deal with. If Trump wins again, I'm frankly terrified, and as I orient myself to that, I honestly don't know where I fit in there, because I'm a little bit scared of what's going to happen to people who do what I do. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is not I'm not in a profession where, I've said a lot of really mean things about Donald Trump over the last 20 years, So, I honestly don't know what to think about that. And I worry, obviously, for the country and for the world and for myself. What about you? What do you think about that? You must.
I do, and I'm thinking about it a little bit more.
We have some unfortunate news from Decision Desk that Harris has lost North Carolina.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
So there goes my theory, but we'll see. Indications are that she's overperforming in Georgia swing states in the Atlanta suburbs, but definitely not feeling as good as I was in the lead up, obviously. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is to be honest with you, I haven't spent too much time contemplating a Trump victory because I think it's going to be pretty bleak. And, we'll have a couple of weeks in the event that there is a Trump victory to start to sort of like determine, where we push. Part of that is a function of
I mean, I'm not
who wins
there
the
yet.
House or the Senate. No, I know.
mean,
I will be spending time on who to blame for a loss, where we're going after Liz Cheney voters. And where are they tonight? Are we seeing them at all?
What's that?
The Liz Cheney strategy. Are we seeing anything from that, or was that not about voters?
I think that's more for the Midwest, and we'll see. We'll see. I still think she's in good position in Pennsylvania, but yeah, I mean, I hear you on that front.
That's what I'll be doing, is pointing the finger.
Huh?
I mean, Heather, in the event that Harris does lose, what do you think the narrative will be? I mean, I guess it's some time, but in the past we've seen the left blamed for these type of things. What do you think happens this time?
Well, I think that the narrative that comes out of this is that Donald Trump is, I don't know, a magical god from another planet or something. I mean, this is like this guy, the ability of him to continually be able to capture the imagination of these tens of millions of Americans with the most bizarre and grotesque and un-American, I mean, it's beyond my capability to sort of analyze that. How is it possible that particular person, and I'm not just talking about, I can see how fascism can take hold in a place. You can, especially if there was a really bad economy or you were dealing with, coming out of a war that you lost, or, you can sort of understand that dynamic. I do not understand his dynamic. And the only explanation for it, I think, that we're going to end up seeing is that there is just something incredibly, magical about him, and that these people are, in his thrall. He is got a certain kind of charisma as a cult leader that I don't think we've ever seen before. No, we've never seen it before with a country as powerful as the United States, and the world leader. That's never happened before. So we're in kind of an historical moment, and not just kind of, we are definitely in an historical moment. If we're not able to beat this back this time, if he was able to come back from his defeat and come back by absolutely perpetrating this big lie of his that he actually won last time and convincing tens of millions of Americans that actually happened, I think we're in, and you combine that with the disinformation and Elon Musk and his being the richest man in the world and pulling a lot of strings, J.D. Vance waiting in the wings. I mean, I don't think there's any precedent for this, and I don't honestly know how we can sort of fit it into any box of normal politics at all. I think we're in some kind of a completely different mode of interpretation of what's happened. It's terrifying. And to be honest with you, like you asked me, have I oriented myself to this? I mean, I've thought about what it would be like, and I've written a lot about Trump's plans for the future and Project 2025 and J.D. Vance and his weird vision with all the tech bros and all this stuff. I mean, we sort of know, we have an outline of what they plan to do and what they might do, but I hadn't really contemplated, in reality, what that actually would mean, the deeper meaning of it, and how the United States and how our culture, what that says about us, and it's truly mystifying to me. And I think we're in a totally uncharted territory if he manages to pull this off. And I shouldn't be thinking that, right? I mean, all the polls said it was tied. Why didn't I believe it? Why am I sitting here, having this sort of sinking feeling
Heather,
the way
we'll
that I am?
We'll see. Like, I'm trying not to, because late deciders are reportedly breaking for Harris by double digits. So the red mirage situation could be very much like more, pronounced at this time. But obviously, North Carolina being called that early for Trump is like a huge gut punch.
I was listening. I listened to the AP. I think people know this. I'll listen to.
Although I'm going to say Decision Desk is the only outlet that's calling North Carolina. I just want to put that out there because people are saying that there's still 54% or only 54% of the expected vote has been counted in North Carolina. The New York Times isn't calling it.
My co-blogger who lives in North Carolina, he was a delegate to the Democratic convention, Tom Sullivan, and he's a big activist down there. He says there's no way that they could possibly know that yet.
There we go.
He says the big blue North Carolina counties still are unreported. He says that's not.
All right, Decision Desk, very preemptive. We'll see.
Yeah, so fingers crossed, maybe it's not actually happening. Or at least we can at least say maybe the earliness of it isn't significant in some way. If it does end up that he wins it, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, how could anybody be surprised? But maybe it's not so obvious,
not so decisive. But I was saying, I think I've mentioned on the show, probably ad nauseum, I like to listen to the AP radio at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour to hear the news. Last night I was listening to it. The amount of time dedicated to the idea that this was last night, that tomorrow is the presidential election, was less than a story about a dolphin.
Oh my God.
That was on the beach in New Jersey and weirdly carved up. Now, I love dolphins. It's weird that a dolphin would be carved up on a beach. It could have been Kennedy. But the idea that and honestly, you couldn't tell a single thing about the candidates by their report. It was just there are two candidates. They both sounded normal with the clip that they played.
Yeah.
And that's the way a lot of people get their news. The dolphin story is a little bit more prominent in terms of time than the election that's taking place tomorrow. And on some level, that's indicative of a dynamic we have in our media.
Yep.
And
and the sane washing, which we've seen as, just constantly. I would say that there are two media stories that are playing into the fact that this is as close as it is. One is the utter, irresponsibility in the way they've reported economic news over the last year, and just kind of ignoring anything that showed up as potentially positive. And the second thing is just the way that they've been treating Trump more or less as a normal candidate. He's been normalized to the point where this craziness, I mean, this is the part that has me just, completely beside myself. The idea that this man is, he's much worse than he was before, and that's saying something.
New York State, no surprise, but it's nice.
And Angela also Brooks has defeated Larry Hogan.
Yes.
So the Democrats will retain that Senate seat. Also Brooks beat Hogan. And Hogan tried to position himself as a moderate Republican, so, that's...
Yeah, they don't exist.
That's some decent news, right, exactly.
Yeah, they don't exist. That's dead. And, that's another thing to contemplate here, is, the Republican Party has gone, it is now full fascist, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. And whether or not Harris pulls it off today or in the next day or two, or whether or not Trump does, that doesn't change. That doesn't change. The Republican Party is now full fascist, and we're going to be dealing with that for a very long time to come, I'm afraid. They're not going to revert back to Larry Hogan's party. Yeah, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, that's the thing I think that's going to be interesting. It depends, obviously, if Donald Trump wins, it's a much different party than if he loses. If he loses, what does the way that he loses dictate what happens to that party? Or is there will there be a fight, or will it just be a rump party? What will happen?
That's a good question. My suspicion is it'll be a rump party, but the fact that this is close means that, regardless of what happens, but if he loses and it's close, I think we're in for another cycle or two of this before anything sort of becomes obvious, about how, I think the old party's gone. What does the new party become after Trump if he loses? The fact that it's close, I think it's just, then you've got J.D. Vance, you've got Ron DeSantis down in Florida, who, granted, had a terrible primary, but nonetheless, he just won something very substantial down there by, the way that he was able to, he spent tens of millions of Florida money to defeat the abortion, ballot initiative. And it won by 57% in a normal state, but because they've made it that, it has to be 60% down there, it lost. As did the cannabis initiative. He is the prototype of the new fascist leader post-Trump. And he remains that.
Yes.
So I think that's where you're going to see it go. Now, whether or not, they're not going to give up on this. I mean, they're not going to, it's not like they're going to go back and just say, well, but let's do an autopsy and figure out where we went wrong, and then we'll adjust, and maybe we'll be less extreme going forward. I don't see that happening at all. Whether there'll be a fight within the party as to who gets to lead it, I'm sure J.D. Vance and Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott and, all the rest of these weirdos are going to be, jockeying for position, whatever happens. But they're not going anywhere. Not yet. I mean, I had thought maybe if there was a decisive defeat and maybe there would be some moments of maybe some of the voters and maybe some of the, slightly less insane elected officials in the party would start to say, geez, maybe we ought to, rethink this. That's not going to happen. That won't happen with it being this close.
So
they're going to.
Well, at least maybe Seltzer was onto something. Harris is up in Iowa with the 19%.
Yes. I love it. I've been waiting to see that one. I've been waiting to see if that happens.
Yeah. So 19% reporting. I mean, that's not insignificant.
In Polk County.
No. Before it said 19%.
Sorry, just here.
But
19 or
19? 19.
Oh, okay.
19. I know, that's why I'm hedging, but yeah. I mean, if Polk County 83% is reporting, this is confusing without the audio.
Shout out to the person knitting in the front row, who I fucking love, like taking everything with stride. What are you knitting?
A sock.
Oh, I thought it was like an IUD or something in the future Trump administration. Hell yeah. A blue sock or like a scarf for a cat. Like under a J.D. Vance vice presidency, can you only have one cat? Like one cat per woman.
I don't think you can have any.
5 children
no cat.
minimum.
Good job elevating the mood, Francesca. Yeah.
Heather, how are you going to spend the rest of the night?
Oh, I'll be doing what I always do. I'll be doom scrolling. I'll be switching back and forth on TV, watching, Steve Kornacki. I mean, I remember in 2020, I was up at 4 in the morning waiting for the Waukesha returns. So, yeah, I'll be doing that. And I've got to write my piece for Salon for tomorrow morning, and I have no idea what I'm going to say because I really don't know where we're at. At least in 2016, I had written the, Hillary won the first woman president. I'd written that piece and I was so happy, and I had to tear that baby up and write something completely different. So, I have no idea at this point what I'm going to write.
What are you drinking while you decide what to write?
Well, I might have had a little shot of tequila. I might have had just one.
Okay,
Maybe I'll have two.
Yeah, Heather.
Digby does shots.
Of course I do. My God, I'm from California.
Now, are there people around you? Is there family? Is there a pet that joins you?
Yes, I have 2 cats. I am a childless cat lady, I will have you know, and proud of it. And and I also have a childless cat husband. And so we're sitting here, my husband, my cats, and I, and we're taking a little nip. As needed, and just trying to get through the night.
Good.
All All right, well, Nate Cohn does point out, apparently, look, like we have more data from Georgia and North Carolina than we do from the 3 states that she needs to win to be victorious: Michigan, Pennsylvania,
point, yeah.
and Wisconsin. I'm stealing it from Cohn, but Pennsylvania looks good right now, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But
And you still got all those kids standing in line. I mean, those lines outside in Lehigh and in Philly, they're all around the block, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to be there until midnight voting if they all those university kids. And I think we have a pretty good idea who they're voting for, I think.
yeah, for sure.
All right, well, Heather.
All right.
I hope the next time we speak, we're happy.
Yes. Yes, I do too. Or at least, not suicidal. That's the most important thing. I mean, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll all be fine. Everything will be fine.
We'll all be fine.
But yes, keep the faith, because honestly, this is exactly what's been happening. So, we made 2016, that remember, Donald Trump and the Republicans haven't really won an election since 2016. So they're not going to win this one either, all right? It's
Thanks,
just too
Heather.
damn close for comfort.
All right, Heather, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Hey, hang in there, guys. Hang in.
Probably a good time to remind you that this stream is sponsored by sunsetlakesabade.com.
New York, give up.
Great way to help yourself relax.
Toilet. Poop. Meow, 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 I'm a Nazi. Meow, 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 I'm a Nazi.
If you use the code Left is Best tonight, one night only, you will not only get 20% off of their tinctures, their smokables, their gummies, their fudge, their salves and their lotions, even their merchandise. You'll get 20% off with Left is Best, but sunsetlakesabade.com will donate $5 to UNRWA, which is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine. The donations will be split between Gaza and the Lebanon Emergency Appeal Funds. sunsetlakesabade.com. They're great movement partners. They got great business practices, great farming practices, pesticide-free, regenerative farming. sunsetlakesabade.com. Use the code Left is Best, all one word. Save 20%. Raise money for Palestine and Lebanese families in need. Also, a reminder, tonight sponsored by JustCoffee.coop. They're out of Madison, Wisconsin. Fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. They got all sorts of different blends. They're a B corporation, which means that they actually have good values. They treat their workers right. Well, they're all owners. It's a co-op, and they treat their suppliers. And you can actually see on the back of the packages, you can trace where your coffee's from and who's getting paid what along the entire supply chain. JustCoffee.coop. Any updates, Emma?
Not really. I mean, the reality of the race right now is that it's not the blowout that we could have, anticipated or should have been. But in Pennsylvania, I'm looking at Delaware County, which is massive, and only 4% of the results are in around Philadelphia. In the Philadelphia County, only 22% are in. All these suburbs of Philadelphia is where she needs to drive up numbers. And even with 33% reporting, she's up by 8 points. And so, you have a lot of these redder, less populous counties. Some of them don't have a ton of reporting, but we only have 33% in, so we'll see. And a lot of people are criticizing decision desk's decision to call North Carolina for Harris preemptively, it could still go, for Trump preemptively, it could still go for Trump still, but we just don't know at this point.
All right. We'll take a question in a moment. We got somebody. I hope this doesn't get too contested. Do we have them on ping?
Is it easy to do?
Honey?
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
If you're a professional.
To myself.
Oh, no. You can forget about that.
I got to go to the salon?
All right. I'm back, which means you're gone.
I'm gonna get my,
you can bleach your skin, though.
I'm going to bleach my butthole, too.
Yeah.
Tim?
Bleach it all. Bleach your entire body.
When Trump wins, I'm going to have a new look. You guys are going to be blown away by my new... I'm going to do one of those big reveals like your boy does, that hard rocker guy.
Which guy is this guy?
Wait, guy with the albino snake and bald head.
Oh, Joey, whatever the hell is that guy's name? Yeah, build it up. And then come up.
We'll have a big reveal.
The new look's coming. The new look's coming.
The new look's going to
The week
drop
comes
Thursday.
off.
Check 1, 2, Tim.
Tim Heidecker.
I'm going to do something.
You're blonde.
No, but if I bleach it blonde, I want to go like Warhol blonde.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Oh, Warhol, yeah.
All right. I can't
Hey,
keep
Doug,
looking
you're
at this
a great
guy.
Tim, we love you, man.
I love
The
you, too.
audience loves you. Vic, we love you.
No,
Matt,
we love you.
Tim, we're seeing a new side of
What did you do?
this
Get
show.
on a,
The audience loves it. We want more. We want it every day.
Tim? You hear that? What about every night? What if we did it at
Power,
night?
baby.
Oh,
we are apparently on Majority Report.
All right, well, patch me in.
Can you hear us, Tim?
Hello?
Hold on.
Matt, just let
Stand by, everybody at the Bell House. It's Tim Heidecker here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Are you hearing us out there? Sam Seder? Emma?
Yeah.
We're apparently on. Oh, yeah. They're hearing us.
Hello?
Can you hear us, Tim?
I can't hear them.
No. Tim.
Oh, well, let's just move on then.
Anybody
Everybody at the Bell House. It's Tim Heidecker
Whoa.
here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Whoa!
What's going on?
What the?
Anybody there?
They're trying to get. We're trying to get their audio.
Does anybody want coffee?
It's like
I like that middle
Hey,
one.
the little one,
Tim,
right?
can you hear us now?
Is that the coverage?
Tim, hello? Tim, hello.
Oh, there they are.
Wow.
Whoa, look at that. They have,
That was
servants.
real?
Damn
That's
servants.
amazing.
Hey, Tim.
I can see them, but I can't hear them.
Oh, still?
Oh, my God.
Hello, Tim.
Cut the stream.
What are you doing? Are you doing some type of coverage? There's no...
Oh, there they are.
Wow.
Whoa, look at that. They have,
That was
servants.
real?
Damn
That's
servants.
amazing.
Wait, we can hear
You guys are at the
ourselves.
Bell House?
Yeah!
Oh, they can hear us. Look, you see that mute? There's a mute button. There's
Maybe if
pressed.
Sam uses words, we could hear him. You should see what's going on in this control room. Uh-oh, doors Chaos. closing.
I thought this was a pit.
Me too.
Well, Oh, Sam, man. just be a professional and vamp while we figure it out.
People paid tickets.
They paid money to be there.
Yeah,
I can't hear you.
Entertain them.
I can see your frustration, okay? I can see your frustration, and I can see you losing the crowd. But I can't hear you, so I just need you to vamp. Emma, can
saying
you
I'm getting
sort of
emotional?
just wrangle this in?
I'm
'Cause
getting emotional.
it's not on me.
They're
Am
gonna
I
start
getting too
leaving like a
emotional?
Trump
Am I
rep.
spiraling?
He's ranting and
Am I
raving.
spiraling, Tim?
Teething.
I think we're bailing.
I think that's that.
Is that what I'm doing? Am I
good luck.
spiraling?
And by the way, Sam, I did 6 nights at the.
Good. Good. Yeah. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Heidecker. Apparently, all the big money this guy has can't get a studio that works. Amazing.
All right, what's CNN got right now?
Let's head over to Kornacki. Okay. Let's see the Kornacki King.
So a little bit more positive news out of Pennsylvania, by the way. Harris seems to be all but holding Biden's margins in the state, but I'm very cautious about giving positive updates outside of that because of how the night has gone so far. And like we told ourselves rationally that this was probably how it was going to go, and yet as I'm sitting here, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So we're all good. We're all in it together. 27% in Wisconsin. Kamala Harris has a good lead so far, but Wisconsin will take a little while.
All right, maybe we should do some questions
from
the audience. Let's start. I don't know if that microphone is on. Brian, can we get that mic on? Let's just start with, well, Eli wants to know what the letters mean. And is that a joke?
Check.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. We should say the Jazz Daredevil Whiskey Highball is available right at the bar over there. Be careful. Be careful. Matt's dad wants to know if the can was old, and if the question is if he gets poisoned, do we sue me or John Benjamin? Obviously, you go for the deep pockets. Let's see what we got here for questions. So the idea was that we were going to have you walk up to the thing. Here we go. Shanita in section C. Come on up to the microphone. Or maybe
come on
head over
down.
there. Red sweatshirt, white polo. We wouldn't be able to see the polo. What's your name? Where are you talking from?
Hi there, I'm Shanita, Brooklyn, Gowanus Canal. I live right there.
Where are you coming from?
Brooklyn, right here.
Brooklyn.
Up. And firstly, thank you for talking about Hind Rajab, New York 10 Neighbors. That was a message that I sent. We're a group of about 2,500 neighbors, New York 10 neighbors, that want to go and support a candidate against Dan Goldman in the future.
Oh, yes, please.
So
I want to know that because of your IM, I wrote in Hind Rajab instead of Dan Goldman.
Woo! Thank you. And I also wanted to ask you if what do you think about Zoran running for the mayoral candidate? What do you think about that?
I mean, we should just say that she's talking about a DSA member from Queens. If you have not been following the news, turns out Eric Adams has a little corruption problem. I think we just said his trial's in April. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if there's any dynamics in the race at this point. I haven't paid that much attention to it. I've been distracted. But I worry about, one of the benefits of having ranked choice voting is that there's not going to be sort of a classic spoiler dynamic, but there's also we have, it remains to be seen, but I don't really know enough about the race at this point, but I'm encouraged by him jumping in early and trying to build momentum. I mean, outside of that, I can't pretend like I've spent that much time thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just anybody else?
No, and I saw a little of the platform. It seems encouraging. I think I worry, about that vote splitting. But as Sam says, the ranked choice voting kind of eliminates that a bit. And it's good that it appears as though there's going to be a wide field, but like it's almost a bit of a silver lining of Kathy Hochul not forcing Eric Adams out, because it doesn't put Jumaane Williams in this pole position, even though, you know, he's a good Democrat, but it allows for a more robust debate. So like Sam, I've been a little focused on the federal races, but I'm excited to see what this New York mayoral race pretends.
Woo! Thank you.
Appreciate the question. What's that?
I couldn't hear it.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see if I have
Something about pizza?
You're about to be. Because you guys are grifters.
Haitians are eating cats and dogs.
Do you dumb?
Sabede. Sabede.
It's here somewhere. I'm trying to find it.
I'm staying in the race. Give us pizza or give us death. New York City is nothing without pizza. New York City is nothing without pizza.
Okay.
Significant, obviously, amount of
Fulton
same-day
is
vote to
Georgia's
come
most
in. And you
populous
just saw,
county.
if you were watching earlier, this has gotten a little bit tighter. The Democrats have dropped a little bit since the last time we looked at this. That's because more same-day came in, and Harris fell below that Biden number. There's room for her to drop further here. And again, you know, just 1-2 points in Fulton County offsets a lot of the good Democrats might have done themselves in those other counties I just showed you. So see what happens there. We also have, look at this, Douglas, Cobb County. We also have, look at this, getting close in Cobb County again. Take a look at 2020 here. Joe Biden won this by 14 points. Now, right now, it's basically a 15-point margin. This is another one where that margin for Democrats was bigger earlier. It's come down as more same day has come in. And Cobb is a massive, massive county. Again, it's much bigger than any of those others that I just showed you. 82%, more same day to come. That's concerning for Democrats if it starts dropping below that. And then Gwinnett County, this is the one that's been the slow one here in the region tonight. We're still where we were. So there's sort of a division here we're seeing between these suburban and metro counties here. Again, there's some clear Democratic growth, but they don't want slippage in those big ones as the remaining vote comes in. And again, just checking in, we showed you Cherokee. These are the big Republican sort of fringe Atlanta metro counties. Here's one, Forsyth County, where Trump is clearly has improved, I should say, a bit from 2020, a point higher than 2020. You can go over to Paulding County, though. This is interesting. Again, core Republican area, fast-growing. Dallas, Georgia is here. 29 points for Trump last time around, down to 24. So, again, that's a feather in the Democrats' cap right there in Paulding County, bringing that Trump number down further. And finally, we close out on this. We're basically done in Fayette County. We ID'd this one at the start of the night as, look, if Democrats were actually flipping this, they are definitely having a good night in Georgia. Looks like they're going to come short. Harris has made progress here in his big suburban county here. Harris has made progress from 7 points, now sitting at 3 points. But is that progress enough for Democrats?
Fascinating and so down to the wire. All right, we are coming up on a poll closing at 10 p.m. We're just about under 10 seconds now until 10 p.m. closings
10 o'clock
in some
already.
very interesting states. Let's have a look at the presidential race. NBC News projecting in the presidential race in the great state, the swing state of Nevada. It is too early to call.
That's not a
NBC
projection.
News projecting a winner in the presidential race in
Projection
Utah.
in
Donald
Nevada
Trump
is
projected
too
to
early
win the
to call. It's
presidential
not a
race
projection.
in Utah. NBC News also projecting a winner in the presidential race in Montana. So Nevada, too early to call. Trump win in Utah. Trump win in Montana. Looking back at the battleground states that we're still awaiting definitive calls in Georgia, it's too close to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. In Pennsylvania, it's too close to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. In Wisconsin, it's too close to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. In Michigan, sing it with me now, it's too close to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. In North Carolina, it is too early to call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And in Arizona, it is too early to call between the two presidential contenders. Let's look at Senate races right now, including in some of the states that have just closed with 10 p.m. Eastern Time poll closings. Looking at the Senate race in Montana, incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator John Tester facing a challenge from Republican Tim Sheehy. That is too early to call. In the Nevada Senate race, where incumbent Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen is facing a challenge from Republican Sam Brown, that is too early to call. In the Utah Senate race, this is also considered to be too early to call. Let's look at some calls from Senate races from the 9 p.m. poll closings in New York State. NBC News can project that Democratic incumbent Senator Kirsten Gillibrand will be returning to the Senate for another term. NBC News can also project a winner in the North Dakota Senate race, where incumbent Republican Kevin Cramer will be returning to the Senate from North Dakota. NBC News can also project a winner in the Senate race in Mississippi, where incumbent Republican Roger Wicker will be returning to the U.S. Senate from Mississippi. This is the status of the United States Senate at this hour.
Senator Jim Justice in West Virginia.
44 seats held by Republicans. That includes one net gain.
Check out Senator Justice coming on right after Walker, Texas Ranger on the USA Network.
By independent Joe Manchin. Democrats sitting at 34 seats right now. There are still 22 uncalled U.S. Senate seats at this hour. Whew.
There's not much else to say. Put it back up there, dude.
Those graphics are insane. Why are they like that? There's numbers in the fountain in front of the White House. What? Why?
I just feel like maybe the lag we're seeing right now is because George W. Bush didn't endorse Kamala Harris in time. Anyone else? Oh, no? You don't think another war criminal on Kamala Harris's ticket would help? I just feel like...
Sorry. Right now in Ohio, 70% in. Sherrod Brown is down by almost 6 points.
That's awful.
It is too early to call as opposed to too close to call.
That's good. I like that.
Too close to call is better than too early to call.
Okay.
You don't like that.
Accepted, but it sounds better too early to call. Thank you, drunk man.
Only 35% of votes in from Cleveland.
What's that? In Ohio?
Come on, Cleveland. Rocks. Come on.
I'm seeing 70%.
In Cleveland, though, not.
Oh, in Cleveland.
So 57% of Florida voters voted for the abortion thing, and so we leave it up to the states. That means they
55.
Lose.
When did they reform how the ballot measures was going to work?
In the aughts.
And it didn't pass by 60%. What's that? What I heard is that when they passed the thing saying they need to pass by 60%, that itself did not pass by 60%. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why they did it. It was too easy for things like that to pass, apparently. Let's play a little bit of this. I'm going to run to the...
Hey, I got a question for... Oh, you have to go. Oh, okay, I'll ask you a question when you come back. Oh, let's vamp.
All right, let's riff. Thank you, R.M. Brown.
Oh, by the way, John Idarola says hi.
Hi to John Idarola.
He misses
friend of
you and he
mine.
loves you. We
Love
still love
John.
John, right?
So this is just, again, for my own sanity as well as just hopium, as they say. But the blue wall is really what Harris does need to win the presidency, although if Moreno wins in Ohio, that's a huge issue for the Democrats. But Harris is still up by 4 points with 35% in Pennsylvania in. She's up by 8 in Michigan with 13% in. She's up by 4 in Wisconsin with 29% in. If she wins those 3, she wins the presidency. That is a good result, but I'm disappointed in what I'm seeing out of Ohio and the fact that Texas and Florida were that quickly called. So it's definitely not the theory that some of us were floating as of right now. We'll see. Some of us, aka myself, but we'll see with late deciders.
But here, I mean, props to Emma for taking the swing. You gotta swing, y'all. You can't hit the balls you're not swinging at. So I appreciate it.
I don't have Alan Lichtman's 13 keys or whatever.
But you guys see, Sam this morning was like, Emma go first. You know what I'm saying? Emma had to go first. Emma had to say what her predictions were, and then Sam was like, okay,
Traps abound.
Maybe.
Traps abound. All right, so I guess, so it's 10 p.m. We're going to continue getting results in.
Shout out to
11.
Feels like the afternoon.
11 p.m. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you what time it is. 11 p.m. we have California, Idaho, Oregon, Washington. California is obviously going to could be a big electoral vote total for Harris, and then Hawaii and Alaska. But
I feel like you guys are not like giving California its due.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyone else from Cali? No, 2 people. Fuck all y'all. Dodgers, fuck yeah! I'm just kidding. Oh!
Whoa!
Okay.
Whoa!
I don't even like the Dodgers.
Whoa!
Okay. I'm from San Francisco, so Giants number 1. Mets number 2. Yankees. They're not.
We don't have to discuss it.
We don't have to discuss it. All right.
All right, I'm sorry. That's Emma's territory that I tread on ever so lightly.
No, tread all over it. So we're still out on all of these swing districts that I'm trying to update you guys about in real time. Nicole Malio stock tips, as coined by George Santos, has won re-election in New York's 11th district. We're going to be watching out for some bellwether New York districts, including New York 17, right, with Lawler versus Mondale Jones. New York's 19th, Molinaro and Josh
How's
Riley.
Anna Paulina Luna doing?
We don't have enough information on that front yet.
Okay.
What about Pat Ryan? Do we have anything from there?
Not so far. I'm going to have to go to the New York Times, unfortunately. New York 3.
Whoa!
So polls have closed in Nevada. We'll be getting some more information on that front.
I know so many Californians who went out to Nevada, went out to Arizona, knocked doors.
Good.
Awesome organizations like Seed the Vote who are doing great work. Yes, shout out to Seed the Vote if you're watching.
I'm seeing that Luna won, by the way. I'm pretty sure.
What'd you say?
Paulina Luna, I'm pretty sure she won. I'm seeing that she won.
Say it again.
That Luna race?
Oh, okay.
Anna Paulina, AK-47, fucking dude.
And for the YouTube viewers, we will be switching over to a new stream in 20 minutes, so look out for that.
YouTube, new stream in 20 minutes.
Wait, what do I have? Do I have to do anything?
No, just sit here.
Everybody subscribe to the Bituation Room now that we're in a lull. Now that we're in a lull, give my podcast a little love.
All right. Okay. So the good news, this was expected, but the Associated Press has called the passage of the Equal Rights Amendment here in New York State. That's good. Michigan results thus far, Slotkin is, and this should be expected given Harris's association with the genocide in Gaza. Slotkin's up by 5 and Harris is up by only 3, so she's trailing Slotkin a bit, but still kind of looking good so far in Michigan. I'm very surprised by and bummed out by what's happening in Ohio with Morena being up by 4 at this point, but we'll see. We'll see.
Anything out of Nebraska?
My Osborne heads are not optimistic at this point. Looks like he did pretty well in rural areas, but in urban areas among the overly educated like myself, not turning out as much for Osborne as you'd want him to, so that's disappointing.
I think the problem is you read too many books, man. That's like...
Some people are too educated.
Okay.
Let's hear what Kornacki has to say about
if you compare this to 2020, when this number came out in 2020, Joe Biden had a high single-digit advantage over Harris in that initial batch in Maricopa County. If you remember, the story in 2020 all week was Trump trying to play comeback in Arizona. This is his starting point now in Maricopa. Also, the other big population center in Arizona, this is Pima County, where Tucson is. This is the more Democratic of the 2 big counties here. Again, basically the same deal. You've got this initial batch here that's half the vote. Again, Biden, you can see where he ran here in 2020. You can see what Harris is getting right now. But what will still be coming out later tonight in Pima will be that same day vote. So we'll see how that affects the count. And again, in Arizona, if we get through tonight, and this thing is still very, very close, you're kind of locked in probably for a few days of results just because of that pace, where once a night you'll kind of get updates from these counties. So the question here, obviously, is if somebody gets a clear advantage, this is the statewide number right now. Half the vote has been counted out. We'll see in the coming hours if there's clear separation between these candidates at all. Otherwise, it could take some time there in Arizona. I want to return to Pennsylvania because I think we've got a pretty big development here in part of the story we've been following all night. We have been flagging Lackawanna County, big one where Scranton is, heart of Northeast Pennsylvania, a very contested region here politically. And the question has been, what would this land at? And you're now basically looking at it. This is probably it in Lackawanna County. And Kamala Harris is going to, this is where Scranton is. Kamala Harris, you see, winning this by 3 points over Donald Trump. But remember, we were using this as a gauge because in 2020, Joe Biden won this by 8.5 points, won the state. In 2016, Donald Trump lost this only by about 3.5 points, 3.4 points. This was a winning combination for Donald Trump. He won the state. This was a losing combination for Donald Trump. Tonight, at 3.1 points, his loss here in Lackawanna County is actually a little bit less than the 2016 margin. This was one of our key questions in Pennsylvania tonight. Would Donald Trump get back to his 2016 level in a big blue-collar county like this? Because there are a lot of big blue-collar counties like this throughout the contested northern tier of the battleground. This I'm flagging for you because we said it at the start of the night. We'd use this as a bellwether also because this is now the complete one. We've been looking for complete counties. We've got a complete county here. So that's what it lands at right there. That was the question we asked. We now have an answer. Luzerne County, another biggie.
No
Again,
joke,
this is
for real,
all
though.
big blue-collar counties, northeast Pennsylvania,
And he's not wearing
slowly
khakis,
getting that same
so
day,
you
that
don't
election day
ogle
vote
him,
counted
okay?
up. Trump's lead now
It's
is
not
11
okay.
points. This is where
Objectification of men is
Wilkes-Barre,
real.
Pennsylvania is. He needs to hit this number and probably surpass it. So, keep an eye as this remaining vote comes in. But like Lackawanna, that's what we're looking at. One other thing to note here. Now, look, half the vote is in. Philadelphia County is the same thing as Philadelphia City. They're the exact same thing. So that's what you're looking at here. We got half the vote in. And you see, Harris is going to win this thing in an absolute landslide. The question in Philadelphia has been the margin. Because what we saw in 2020 was ever so slightly, even as Democrats won the state and improved on 2016, Joe Biden actually lost a little bit of ground in Philadelphia. And a reason he lost a little bit of ground in Philadelphia was Donald Trump performed a little bit better in some heavily Hispanic parts of the city. So the question, another key question tonight has been, do Democrats win that back? Do they win back the ground they lost? Do they lose further ground? Now, you can see Biden won Philadelphia 81-18, essentially, in 2020. And right now, it's 79-20. The key is this: as they count up, I keep saying the same-day vote. I'm saying that because we know the same-day vote is favoring the Republicans a bit. So when I say they're tallying up the same day, there's an expectation there that it's the best numbers for Trump that are still being tabulated right now. The twist in Philadelphia, though, is they still have tens of thousands of vote-by-mail ballots, and we expect at about midnight that they're going to release that second batch of vote-by-mail ballots. So as we get closer there, we're going to follow this and see if Trump can maintain this 20%, maybe even he grows it. That would be fantastic news for him if he does that. But at about midnight, a very big batch of what are going to be very Democratic-friendly votes are going to come in. And so that may answer, or really get us close to an answer, on this other key question we're asking in Pennsylvania. Are the Democrats able to hold what they have in Philadelphia and maybe even win back the lost ground from 2020, or does Trump make further inroads? Because, again, this is a county where a city, the Democrats won by about 470,000 votes in 2020. They want to hit that margin. They want to go higher on that margin tonight. So that's the drama in Philadelphia as this other half of the vote comes in. And we could just zoom right out and see. Oh, I was going to zoom out and show you the running statewide total, and I clicked Ohio for some reason. There you go. A little bit more than half statewide. That is Trump's lead statewide, but it's very spotty in terms of where you're seeing votes. Oh, there's one more I did want to flag for you. This is Cumberland County, because we do have about 3/4 of the vote in here. Why Cumberland County? Because we don't talk much about it, but there's a lot of population in this region of Pennsylvania. You got Lancaster County, you got York County. Here you got Cumberland County, Carlisle, Pennsylvania's in here. This is actually, you see red right now, this has been a growth area for Democrats.
Iowa.
There's a lot of fast-growing suburbs in here. Again, demographically very conducive to the Democratic coalition. Right outside, right across the river from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Iowa.
So Democrats...
What was the... Who called it?
NBC just called it for Trump. So it turns out that Seltzer may have been an outlier.
It's always possible. All right, YouTube, look out. We are changing the streams over.
Yay.
We're changing the stream on YouTube.
All right, well, good news is Democrats are doing well in New York, which is the opposite of what we thought was happening. They're leading in 5 of the 7 congressional swing districts, so.
Please clap.
And in Pennsylvania, less than half of Philadelphia and very little of the Philadelphia suburbs have been counted. So I'm trying not to freak out,
Sorry.
Let's take some questions, shall we?
Let's go.
Brian, you there? Tyler. Great.
New York City is nothing without pizza.
Tyler, where are you? Ty. Oh, Ty. Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Ty.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
How's it
Ty,
going?
where are you from?
Hi, I'm Tyler from Long Island.
From Long Island.
Yeah, Nassau County.
Nassau
Franklin
County.
Square.
All right. Question?
Well, I work for the post office. I'm a mail carrier.
Whoa!
I feel like my question's not relevant for the whole,